What's up, everybody?
What's up?
We're back for another episode of Friday Night Shenanigans. We were kind of just giggling as we were watching the intro because some of those little things just never get old. The fart, and I'm just like, ooh. Paul laying on the couch holding his fish.
Me snapping a rod on a 1.5-pound fish.
Yeah, that too. It's good times, and we had some more good times last night at the summer solstice tournament.
Yeah, man.
So
I had fun times before the tournament and fun times after the tournament. And for about an hour and 45 minutes during the tournament, it was fun. The other hour and 15 minutes was not so fun.
Well, care to elaborate on why that was, Paul?
Oh, well, I got the bright idea to make a 30-mile run in a 3-hour tournament, and it was not calm. And by I say not calm, it is one of the top 3 worst boat rides I have ever made in my life.
Right.
I am hurting.
Back's hurting.
Oh my God.
So
I'm loaded up on an Advil. I mean, we got beat to crap.
did you I'm sorry. I literally just lost my train of thought as I was saying it. Was your ride in the Skeeter, like, you've been in worse shit in the Champion before. So how was it compared to your Champion Skeeter?
So the reason it was so bad is, like, I gave myself a little extra time to get back versus like how long it took me to get up. I gave myself like an extra like 7 or 8 minutes, and about a third of the way back, I realized, like, man, if it gets rough, I'm gonna be cutting it close.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a decent. I mean, we didn't have a big bag, but we had a decent bag. So like, I wanted to make sure that we got in on time, and I pushed it pretty hard, going through some pretty gnarly water.
Mm-hmm.
So if I probably could have taken it a little easier, and it wouldn't have been as bad. But
How's Rob feeling today?
he's hurting too.
Yeah, I bet. I was even just to where me and Tony went yesterday. As I was rolling out there, I'm sprawled out on the deck, I'm sprawled out across it, like trying to hold one foot like on the net, one foot's on the old shit handle over here.
I'll let you know.
I'm just trying to like hold myself down.
At the mouth of the gunpowder, it was 3 times as worse as that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it was gnarly. What's going on, Lloyd?
And I mean, what? So it was the wind direction.
So, it was, honestly, like, I didn't think it was going to be as bad on the way up. I knew it was going to be bad on the way back, because the wind was going to be blowing against the tide. But it was pretty bad on the way up. I mean, we had guys, like, with their units, like, coming off the boat. And
yeah, didn't Dave Wilder's trolling motor mount or something?
No, it was his graphs, mounts.
It was the graph mounts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it like shook his, it like ripped his graph mount, ripped his graph mount out. I mean, it was no joke.
Those boats were banging pretty hard.
I can tell you that a typical Thursday nighter, I would have turned around.
Right. Just not the solstice.
I wouldn't even went out there. If a typical Thursday nighter, like if I had Candace in the boat, like I never even would have went out there.
Right.
Like not a chance. I wouldn't have put her through that. But when Rob says he wants to go to the flats, we go to the flats.
I mean, the flats, obviously, and unfortunately for you, you were first place out of the money, first spot out of the money.
Yeah.
Not to rub it in, but
I mean,
it paid for pretty much everybody that went down to the flats. You guys all caught good fish and had heavier bags.
So 5 boats went to the flats, and 4 of them were in the top 6.
He says his trip to the bridge was rough.
Yeah, it was. Once we got to like Maxwell Point, it calmed down a little bit, and I trimmed that bitch all the way up, put the pedal to the floor, and just held the steering wheel, and
just
we
stayed
just
on top.
We just hit every wave on the way in, and I never let off the gas, and we made it back to the ramp at exactly 9:00. And I may have been doing more than 6 miles an hour in the 6 mile an hour zone.
Just trying to get back.
I may have been doing like 7.8. And those are my boat's going through the water like this.
We were coming back down, and we were like, "Have you seen Paul come in yet?" No, because we saw Logan, we saw Tom, we saw the other guys come back. Did you guys see? Did you guys see Paul yet?
I mean, we left the.
What's
fish
up,
bite.
Dan?
We stayed there like absolutely as long as we could. I mean, we left the fish biting. We had the bites. We got the bites to do well. I don't think we would have won. Vic and Logan, I mean, they had a monster bag.
They just have it absolutely dialed down there right now.
I mean, that was impressive. But
that is impressive.
I know. I mean, I saw one. I had one miss my bait 10 feet, 10, 15 feet from the boat. Like I saw it. It was over 5. Mm-hmm. Rob had 2 big blow ups that just missed his frog. So we were in the right area. We had the right bites to have a big bag, but unfortunately, that's topwater fishing.
Yeah, I absolutely hear you, guys. If you're listening right now, do me a big favor: hit that like button, hit the share button, help us get some more people up in here. Grow Bass and Beer Radio. Let's discuss last night's summer solstice tournament. I want to hear a little bit about your guys' nights too, if you guys fished it. What did you guys go through? What was the struggles that you guys faced? The guys, obviously, that ran down to the flat or up to the flats that was a hell of a ride, and it was a rough ride from what I heard. There was a good payday for a few of them.
For a couple of them.
And then it was really, to me, it was kind of like the amount of weight difference from there to the people that stayed in the GP, though.
Yeah, there was only...
The quality is...
So there was one bag that was 8.74 that came out of the GP, and there was 9 something that came out of the GP area. Third place, Wayne and Wayne.
Yes.
But
was third place Wayne and Wayne?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think Wayne and Wayne was third place.
Yeah,
but they were in the GP.
Yeah. They had 9 something. Bryant had 8.74. I beat him by 1/100th of a pound. And then the next 3 bags. It was first and second, fourth, sixth were all from the flats. So,
okay. Mm-hmm. And
it was a rough ride, but me and Rob looked at it like we knew that we weren't going to be the only people going up there, and we also knew that if the only way to compete was to.
What's up, there. Zach? Yeah, essentially, so, yeah. And you were right.
I mean,
the only way to compete really was to do it.
I know it lives up there, so.
And
I feel like if we had gotten 2 of the bites, if we had gotten 2 of the bites that we had, if we had hooked up on them, if they hadn't missed our baits, we would have had 12 to 14 pounds probably. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I know the one was over 5.
I felt like the tide killed everything in the GP, but they seemed like they were on fire up on.
Yeah, we left the meeting. Like if we weren't fishing a tournament, we would have been out there till dark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's wild to me because it was incredibly different where we were. It was very nitpicky.
I mean, I think I missed one third to last cast. I made 2 more casts and I was like, yeah, we gotta go. But they were not. Yeah, they were chewing up there.
I need a beer.
But it was. Yeah, I mean, it was painful. I'm definitely paying for it today. What's up, Bubbers?
Need a beer and it was fish the flats.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was
just not this weekend because it's going to be too hot.
Oh, it's gonna be. I got a tournament on Sunday.
Ooh. Yeah. It's supposed to feel like 104 on Sunday, something like that.
It's supposed to be 95.
Yeah. Yeah, with a real feel of.
Or with a real feel of boiling.
Yeah. Wear your Bass and Beer radio gear. Keep you from getting the sunburn.
So far, I haven't really looked at it over too well, but I only have 2 loose screws that I've seen. I have 2 screws in the rub rail that came out a little bit, but other than that, it held up pretty well. all my units are still there, and my trolling motor didn't come off, so
That's good.
I didn't spear any.
Kept the old Loctite, kept everything together.
So, unfortunately, the two of the screws that backed out were two that I 5200 in. So I hope they didn't like
Take the
strip
threads
out
with it.
I hope they didn't strip out.
Just pulled the whole thing out with it, probably.
So I might have to upgrade the screw.
I feel like for rough rides like that, it's better to like stash the electronics away.
I mean, mine are all locked on. Like mine aren't coming off.
Unless they rip off.
Like if I speared one, and even then, like it would be hard for it. I mean, it would have to break the unit itself because all of mine are through bolted. So they're through bolted with fender washers on the back. So I mean, it's either going to rip the whole front end of my boat off or just going to break the gimbal, where the gimbal mount connects to the unit. But yeah, it was not fun. I won't be doing that the rest of the year unless it's flat calm and there are 30 boats in the tournament.
So the difference is, like, you guys run down there. There's a ton of grass down there. Obviously, that's kind of what most people would probably fish on the flats. Yeah. Obviously, you're guys fishing grass.
Yep.
Up in the GP, it ain't there.
Nope.
So it would, to me, like, it was really...
And that flood tide really hurts.
You had to know that you were... Yeah. You had to know that you were going to be on something really consistent, in my opinion, to dedicate yourself to a spot in the GP.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about the GP is, like, I've been catching a ton of fish in the GP. I mean, a ton. Like, 20 to 30 every night I go out.
Yeah, a ton of dinks.
But, for, my best three will go... I think one night I might have had 9.5 pounds. Right. 9.5, 10 pounds. The other nights it's been, like 7.5. You catch a bunch of 2.5 pounders. But there's so many fish there. It's ridiculous how many fish I've been catching.
Yeah, I wonder if...
As far as this has been one of my the last 2 weeks have been probably some of the best times for numbers that I've had on the gunpowder.
I'm very interested in. I want to learn more about it. I got to reach out to maybe Oliver Nye himself and talk to him just from some of the stuff I've seen about him and the small fish and how having too many small fish in one area is bad.
Yeah, I don't think our populations are that high because we don't have.
It's not that high, but it seems. I don't know. It seems like it's the numbers, but the size is not.
So, it's the lack of grass. You'll see it in cycles. That definitely
got a lot to do with it.
You see it in cycles in lakes too. If you look at a lake that, like clear, so it kind of matches up to some things I've heard about some lakes up north, where they killed because of dock owners and stuff like that. Waterfront property owners where they kill the grass, where you'll have like when they kill the grass the next year or two. The spawn's been done for like a month and a half down here, Lloyd. Like second week of May. But yeah, a little over a month. You'll have like a year or two after the grass gets killed off, where you'll just smash giants. And then when that grass doesn't return, you end up with just catching a bunch of small fish where it takes 10 or 12 pounds to win a tournament. Where it used to take when the grass was good, and for the 2 years afterwards, it took, it would take 20 or more. So it kind of seems to be, lining up with, what I heard, similar to those similar to those lakes there where they killed off the grass, and we had a grass die off from a lot of storms and such. Runoff and storms and whatever Mike calls it, salt. But for whatever reason, we don't have grass, and
I've definitely noticed that. Now that you speak about it that way, I've definitely noticed that ever since the grass has declined, the size has declined.
Well, look at like last year, which was the first year we didn't really have grass. It was ridiculous, the size fish that we were catching. For a third, a Thursday nighter was if you didn't have over 10 pounds for 3, like you had no shot. It was taking anywhere from 12 or 10 to 13 pounds to win a Thursday nighter in the gunpowder, staying in the gunpowder.
They still have to be there. They're just in different places.
Well, they don't necessarily have to be there. Like if you lose those big fish from the grass, die off, whether the fish die off or they
move out of the GP.
Yeah.
But are they fishing? Is the next closest place that has that grass is Dundee, and is Dundee fishing that well?
I mean, there's been some big fish caught at Dundee this year.
There's been some big fish caught in Joppa this year too.
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
I mean, I haven't heard of.
There's been a couple 6s.
I haven't seen one. I haven't seen a fish over 5 in the gunpowder.
Really? Yeah. I've seen 2. Not personally, just know people that caught.
I mean, we had our, even in our club tournament, we hit our club tournament in the middle of this, like perfect spawn, like perfect time to fish it, and we had one fish over 4 pounds. Between me and Ron, we caught over 40 keepers between the two of us, and neither one of us had a 4-pounder. Like, you catch that many fish and don't catch a 4-pounder during the spawn. That's kind of crazy. And I know Tony had a good day down there. In his club tournament, and he caught some good fish, but it's, I don't know. I think it's just kind of on a downturn. I don't think it's not like 7 or 8 years ago bad when we had the fish kill, but it'll come back. And I could be wrong, but just the way that it's been fishing, like usually by this time of year, as much as I fish down there, I've caught multiple 5-pounders, and I haven't caught a 5-pounder out of the gunpowder this year. Not out of the.
I didn't catch a 5-pounder out of there last year. I don't think I haven't caught a 5-pounder this year.
I mean, I had multiple 6s out of there last year.
Yeah, I didn't catch shit out of there last year. I barely broke 4 pounds last year, I think.
Yeah.
It was a bad year.
I caught more 5-pounders last year in the gunpowder than I have in any other year that I've been fishing it. And I caught 2 over 6 out of the gunpowder last year.
Hey, there he is. What's up, Rob?
What's up, Rob? How's that back feeling?
Yeah, how's the back feeling, man?
Because mine sucks. Yeah, last year was ridiculous down there. I mean, there were so many big fish. I weighed in one almost 6 in a Thursday nighter. I had like a 5. I think it was like 580 something. Mm-hmm. I caught 2 over 6 just out fun fishing, and I caught many 5s, out and just fun fishing, and more. Just tons of 4s.
The gunpowder is inevitably, because of this, the gunpowder is going to fish much smaller this year. Or people are going to have to leave to go elsewhere.
It's going to be a lot like last year.
They're going to be stacked on top of each other or more spread out from people trying to find other stuff.
The brown water's flowing, feeling better.
Oh gosh. Come on.
Yeah, I think it's just on a downturn, and it's from the lack of vegetation, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You get lack of vegetation, you get a lack of bait. It just kind of cycles through. Give it a couple of years, you have vegetation's going to come back. It's happened before. I've seen there. So I think it was before the fish kill. I think I remember there was a really, really nice milfoil bed outside the bridge, and 2 weeks later it was completely gone. And it took 3 years for that to come back. For there to be grass in that area again. Mm-hmm. So, it's...
Taking them out to the flats, Rob?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would get out early and then get in early.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be hot this weekend.
Get out early, get in early. It's gonna be gnarly hot. I'm sure boat traffic is still gonna suck out there because people are still gonna want to go out and party.
Dude, so I was talking to my buddy Harry, and he's retired and he fishes the flats all the time. He said last week there were people partying at Battery Island on Wednesday. Like, it's not even just the weekends anymore. He said he said their boats lined up partying like at dark. Like they're just out of Battery Island, just beached up.
Hey man, why when you can just work from home and if
Right.
you can write your boat off as a second home, then technically you can work from home. By the way, as long as you have a toilet in there, you can do that.
What are you fishing tomorrow, Miles?
Miles is going to the Wingo tomorrow.
Yeah, but his Wingo tournament is on Sunday. So I don't. That's why I was asking what he's fishing tomorrow.
He told me he was going to the Wingo.
I know he's going to the Wingo, but he's just out looking around tomorrow. So you're not fishing. I thought you were fishing a tournament tomorrow when you said derbies all weekend.
Battery
was the
is
spot.
still the spot. Still a lot of people there. Battery,
The
Hart
fishing.
Miller Island.
Dan, do you
Still
mean
Pond.
do you mean the fishing spot or the party spot or both? It used to be. There actually used to be really good fishing around Battery Island. Before they put that beach in.
Never. There's no fish there.
There,
Is that a man-made beach?
Yeah. There used to be a big rock jetty there.
They just covered it in sand.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, there used to be. There was a like a throughput like through the island, like where the lighthouse is. Like so there was an outlet that came out there, and like so on the tide you get like water rushing out that side. Now it's just it's all beach where that was now.
Gotcha. Bunch of guys.
Yeah, I'll be on the flats Sunday. Yeah, they had a swim platform and everything out there.
That's awesome. Thanks for the like, Larry. Rob, south of there, had the best milfoil. Giants lived there like 15 years ago.
There used to be that used to be like a
Now they're just a
Banging.
mile to the left or a mile to the right.
That used to be a banging spot. Even like 10 years ago. Used to get some, just beautiful milfoil down there. The thing with, like, the crazy thing about the flats is, like, there's so much stargrass up there now. Like, way more than there ever used to be. I mean, the stargrass is really taken over. Mm-hmm. And stargrass is really hard to fish.
Why is it harder to fish?
Because it's very thick and very,
I would think the
it's very,
hydrilla
like,
was
bushy.
like hydrilla is very thick.
well, it's more stalky than hydrilla. So, like, it's more, like, rigid.
Okay, right. Like that nasty shit down on Lake Anna. Like straw grass that you can fish in.
Yeah, except it's more of a bush.
Yeah.
This is more like a bush, and it's really hard to fish. It holds fish. It's just really hard to fish. I mean, you get sometimes like you can punch it. I've had some good days. Punching stargrass, but it's super inconsistent up here. It's not like punching hydrilla on the Potomac.
And I'm not a big flats fisherman. I need to go fish the flats more. But I do got to say that being able to identify different types of grass and know if it's clean, healthy, has flow going through it or whatnot is a big... the fish a lot of times really identify with a different type of grass. And that can change from day to day where they're
It
holding.
can. I mean, it can change with the tide. Mm-hmm. So, you could have, say, for example, they're on low tide, they pull out, to the edge where it's more, milfoil. And then, the tide comes in and, it pushes that hydrilla up and they'll suck up under that hydrilla. Mm-hmm. And then really you have two options, like, because you can't run a chatterbait through it or anything like that. I mean, you get in the middle of the summer, it's topped out. So you're either punching it or you're frogging it.
Yep.
And frogging hydrilla is hit or miss. You're gonna miss. You're gonna have a lot of fish miss your bait. Schoolies, no, they're giants all over the flats, Miles.
There's definitely some pretty big rockfish swimming around on the
Dude,
flats
the size of the rockfish that we saw busting bait last weekend during a tournament, we were fishing a Chester County tournament. It looked like somebody was dropping bowling balls from an airplane when they were breaking.
I got to get out there with my swim baits.
Dude, it was insane. If we hadn't been fishing a tournament, we won. They were like 200 yards away from us. So they're 200 yards away. The wind's blowing 20 miles an hour, and we can hear them break water. Like that's how. And you'd look over and you just see this like giant splash come up. It was insane, and it was. They were like 200 yards away from us, but it was like. It was a school that was 100 yards long.
That's one of the hardest fighting freshwater fish.
Oh, for sure.
Like, they are just...
Probably one of the hardest fighting fish in Maryland.
For sure. The only... I don't have anything... Rockfish, when they are eating, though, they are eating.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what you throw in the water. They're going to eat it. When they're really freaking going off, or... not schooled up, but when they're... Man, I'm brain farting on all my terminology tonight. But when they're...
I'm pretty sure you mean schooling.
I mean, when they're... I guess when they're schooling, yeah. They eat a lot of bait. They eat whatever you throw in the water.
Oh, there you go, Lloyd. Rob said the skeeter impressed him.
And I think the hard part with them is really finding them and tracking them as they move.
Yeah, because they do move around a lot. I mean, you basically just go look for them. Just go look for them busting.
Follow the birds. Look for seagulls.
So there are no birds really.
No.
Like out where when we saw them last weekend, and maybe that had to do with the wind. I mean, the wind was ripping, and it was just insane. Like I said, it looked like somebody was dropping bowling balls from an airplane.
How fast did you get the skeeter up to on the way there or back?
68.
68.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that was.
Well, I mean that was from like the mouth of Dundee in, and then from like Romney Creek up. We were once we got past Romney Creek, like up north, it was like mouth of the Sass. Like once we got past like the mouth of the Sass was a little rough. Once we got past that, like we were wide open.
Rolling.
It was not. It really wasn't. I mean, it was nice fishing on the flats. Like it was calm. It wasn't windy up there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't windy till you got down to like the mouth of the bush. When we got down to the mouth of the bush, then it really got bad. And I mean bad.
What do you want, buddy? No.
But yeah, there's definitely just for general fishing like right now the flats.
What's up, Paul?
What do we do with it? You make TP jellyfish.
What do you do with your duty wipes after wiping on the water? TP jelly? With the biodegradable wipes?
Dude, if you
Let me
explain
look at what you just did.
Let me explain.
Look at what Paul just did.
When you gotta go, right? So like if you're out in the middle of nowhere, like you gotta take a shit over the side of the boat. You gotta take a shit over the side of the boat. But if you
if you shit in the live well?
I'm not shitting in my live well. If you drop your toilet paper over the side of the boat, like it looks like a fucking jellyfish floating underwater. that little creek over.
I didn't need to know that.
So that that little creek over by the Bird River.
Yes.
So like I had to go one time, and like the tides rolling out, and like I did my business, and like we went up and fished a creek, and like we came out at the mouth of the creek. There's just like these little white things that look like jellyfish floating, like 3 or 4 of them.
Oh God! I hope I never witness that when I come.
Use the live well as a bidet. I wonder. Interesting. I wonder if I could turn my turn my nozzle
turn
up.
The thing upside down so it sprays up.
I wonder if it'll reach it. It'll go past the edge. Get it nice and clean.
That's a great idea. Let me know how that works.
Between your motor and the power poles is like the perfect width. Like you just like lean back there, you grab a hold of your cowling, put your elbow on the power pole.
I always try to empty the tanks before I go float.
I mean, sometimes you eat a sandwich while you're out there, and it just hits you.
Tom's like, dude, I turned in at a weird time.
What's up,
and
Tom?
This is why we need to be sponsored by Dude Wipes.
Dude Wipes, great for your butt, terrible for your septic system.
Yes, don't flush those things. Do not flush.
We got shit and fish. Instead of weights, we got shit and fish. That's funny. They ate the stinky. Rob knows that Slim Jim will get you out there sometimes.
Slim Jim. I had to drop Nick Rogers off the bank many times. Should have kept going.
Frank had to drop me off on the bank, or our first TBF this year. We're on the Potomac, and we're fishing in this one creek, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, "Yo, Frank, take me over to that bank right now." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Take me over to that." He must have heard me talking about him. That's funny. I'm like, "Take me over to that bank right now." And so he's like, "What?" I'm like, I gotta go. like grab some toilet paper. I run up on the bank and like I find it. Like I'm not looking at any of my surroundings, and like I kind of like lean up against the tree, and I'm like oh, and I look forward and I'm 10 feet from somebody's fire ring.
They're in the tent.
They're gonna get a surprise when they come have their bonfire.
Nice.
Mud shark.
Didn't notice the hammock that was hanging off the tree that you were leaning up against. That's terrible.
Yeah, they were probably people just sleeping, hanging out.
It's never me or Steve. It's always Phoebe that has to get dropped off the boat to go up on land to piss.
Nothing. Zach said nothing worse than holding on to a power pole and taking a leak when your partner hits the button.
I've thought about doing that a couple times. Just like somebody's leaning on it, just like hit the button.
Can you imagine me hitting the button with that Questral motor? Throw him like 10 feet off the back of the boat.
Either or, you can just blast forward really quick or drop the power poles and just watch it fall off the back.
I almost throw myself off the boat. It's that troll motor.
I just have my stupid ankles, so my ankles are always friggin'...
There's nothing more challenging than pinching off a Coach K in the drive hole of your Hobie kayak.
That is absolutely hilarious.
That's funny.
That's terrible. I like it. Do. Whoopsies. Wrong button.
Just hand on the motor with both hands and squat off the back. Yeah, you can do that.
Do not send those. We're not interested.
Yeah, definitely do not send those. You can also get a good one.
Hey, what's up, John?
One just from Matt Robertson. Put your feet on the driver's seat, grab a hold of the steering wheel, and just hang over the side.
I don't know, man. So those steering wheels like move a lot sometimes when you pull on them.
Mine doesn't.
I don't know. Yours isn't an aluminum Ranger, so.
That's the Matt Robertson trick. You just grab a hold of the steering wheel and hang over the side.
That's awesome.
If you need a little extra leverage, you can grab a hold of the shifter. There. If you've been on the water enough, you'll run into these situations.
Yeah, I mean it's inevitably it's going to happen eventually. I just always try to empty the tanks before going out on the water, and yeah. I mean, other than peeing off the side of the boat, I try to completely avoid everything else.
I mean, if I got to get up at 3:00 in the morning, for a tournament, like I don't ever have to shit at 3:00 in the morning.
I have to shit as soon as my feet touch the floor when I get out of bed.
No, I'm clockwork like 8:30. 8:30.
I'm on the clock.
8:30 every day.
There you go.
If you call me at 8:30 and I don't answer the phone, that's why.
That's the best time to answer.
No, I have never drank camel's milk. I don't have any interest in drinking camel's milk.
I can see this is going to go somewhere terrible.
I don't know where this is going, but yeah, that's going to be a no.
It's going to be a no for me, Tom. Going to be a no for me, Paul.
That's going to be a no for me, dog.
Yeah, that's going to be a no for me, dog. There was another movie reference that was like that too. That was pretty funny.
That was from American's Got Talent. It was Randy Jackson.
Yeah, Randy Jackson. I know that one.
That's going to be a no for me, dog. One cup of coffee and a fat lipper, and you'll go.
That's so true, though. That is so true. The coffee is such a catalyst, and you must.
Oh
How
yeah.
can you can't live without coffee.
Plus,
You can't
you
fish
know,
without coffee.
Plus, you mix that with a fat chew, you're done. It's like smoking smoking a cigarette.
I probably couldn't drive the boat if I had a chew.
Well, yeah, I guess you
Just be sitting there going in circles.
just all nicotine hide up.
Yeah. Probably drool coming down my face.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, me and Rob had a good time last night. It was fun. Mm-hmm. How about you and Tony?
Good time. We had a good time. The tide didn't exactly work to our advantage.
Plus
it didn't help
wind,
us with what we were doing.
the wind
Plus
didn't
the
help it
wind
either.
didn't help us either.
Kind of stalled out the current. Later when the tide flipped.
It did,
stalled
and
out the current,
these
for sure.
areas are very, very much current dependent.
Yeah, I know. I talked to Tony about it last night.
And there was just none. So it was very hit or miss. It was very just kind of pick it apart, take your time, let them soak, and do your thing.
I mean, you guys still cook. What do you guys have?
We still had 3 for 7 pounds. I mean, it wasn't like a hateful time or anything like that, but we caught them, and we caught a few fish, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It's always good to go there and see everybody in the beginning. As always, I think Clint was there at about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So,
I got there. I got there at 2:45. I was boat 5.
Yeah, Clint was there at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I got there at 2, and Nick Rogers was already there. Clint was already there. Kevin and Buck was already there.
You know what? So speaking of
Then
that,
you pulled in.
Speaking of that run to the flats, I props to Victor. That dude can drive a boat. I was boat 5. He was boat 28, and he passed me just after the mouth of the bush, coming through that rough water.
They were boat 28.
Yeah. So he's 23 boats behind me, and he passed me coming through that rough water.
He probably
that dude can
never
drive a boat.
never let off probably.
Speaking of never let off, Frank and Dave made it back from the flats in a half an hour last night.
Great question, actually. What is the average time to run from the GP to the flats?
So last night in the rough water going up, and we couldn't. For a long way we couldn't run. Yeah, it was that Phoenix was blowing. Right through that stuff. But anyway, for a long time, we had a really long section where we couldn't run more than like 40 mile an hour. We are in Maryland, Mr. Paul Roberts.
Yeah, sir.
We are fishing the Upper Chesapeake Bay for the most part, and it took us 38 minutes to get up there.
Okay.
Had we been able to run the whole way, I think I could have made it in less than 30.
25, 30 minutes, give or take.
Yeah, between 25 and 30 minutes.
Okay.
Definitely not less than 25. Probably closer to 30, but I think it would have been more like, I think I could have made it in like 20. 4-foot tight rollers. He's not kidding.
The guy was that bad out there?
There were
4 foot?
maybe
I feel
not
like
4,
the wind wasn't that bad.
solid 3-footers. Yeah, there were solid 3-footers out there.
Yeah, that's terrible. That would suck. That's the type of shit I don't ever want to get caught in my Ranger.
No, it would have been ugly.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made it back.
It would have been good.
It would have had holes in it.
Probably.
Like right down the welds.
I don't know.
Yeah, Kayla said it was solid 3-footers.
Oh, so I guess I don't know where you guys went, but I guess you guys ended up going outside the bridge, Kayla. I didn't know. I was kind of wondering where you guys were going to go. I haven't seen you like pre-fishing up this way. But then again, you guys are pretty solid in the Dundee Creek area, so.
Yeah, it was, and the 1.5 at the mouth of the GP were bad enough in his boat. Mm-hmm. That wasn't even the mouth of the GP, Mr. Over. The mouth of the GP was bigger. Dan says he's been in the bay and in 4-foot chopping and beat his 24-foot boat up. Yeah, we were running in 20-foot bass boats.
As I was saying, I was literally like sprawled out across Tony's boat, like trying to hold myself down, the net down, grabbing the old shit handle, and then we are passing Tom and Nick, and I'm like, I can't even I'm looking at them in the John boat. I'm like, this is probably tearing them apart.
Kayla said they went east. How far east did you go? Did you stay like within like the gunpowder confines, or did you run across the bay? I hope you didn't run across the bay, because that wouldn't have been. It would have been just as bad as running to the flats. Mm-hmm. I mean, once you got over to the, like, if you were going to like Still Pond or something, it would.
What's
you could have ran? You could
like Seneca,
like Still Pond.
Still Pond.
Yeah, like that area over there.
That's
like
still that's still like a 30-minute run, isn't it? Still Pond?
I can make Still Pond in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But what they went across the bay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was coming back across would have been fun. Just because of the direction the wind was blowing, because you got to come. I guess you probably could have ran the troughs a little bit, but they were so unevenly spaced that it was hard to run the troughs. Like I was trying to run the trough. I could run the troughs a little bit in the mouth of the gunpowder, just because it was kind of coming diagonal across the mouth of the gunpowder. So like I was cutting across toward like the mouth of Dundee, and like there was no real trough. It was like the trough would go, and then there would be a wave stacked in the middle of the trough. So I just turned into the gunpowder and sent it. And my back hurts.
I'm glad we didn't.
Kayla said 35 in the Sea Arc. Mm. Yeah,
That's freaking.
I was doing a little faster than 35.
That's a run. That's a run in the Sea Arc. That boat probably handles water pretty good though.
Yeah, we ran to the flats, Kayla. It was the mouth. Yeah, the mouth of the bush was 3 to 4. It was bad.
That's giant. That's so bad. Oh God, that's bad.
Yeah, it was.
I can't believe you guys ran to the flats in that shit.
Is what it is.
Everybody's back. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But who's doing it again next week?
It wasn't. I'll put it this way. It was never. It wasn't bad enough out there that I was like worried we weren't going to get back. You know,
right?
You know what
You've been up on Conowingo enough when it.
I mean, I've been on Conowingo. I've ran, Ontario. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like.
Well, shit, the St. Lawrence, if that matter too.
Ontario is way worse than St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
Ontario, St. Lawrence, there's always places to get.
It's not pretty though.
St. Lawrence isn't bad because there's so many islands up there at the mouth that it blocks the wind. Unless you get up toward like Messina, where it's more open, like the Thousand Islands area, the St. Lawrence, you can always get out of the wind there. Mm-hmm. Ontario, like when that wind, like if you get caught out there, like there's no place to hide. It gets worse. I mean, it gets bigger, but it's almost easier to run because there's so much space in between them.
Do you think that the Thursday nighters have started up now? Do you think the guys are going to just keep on running to the flats for now?
I think people still they're still going to run to the flats.
Going to keep running to the flats. And,
I'm not.
Not for all of them.
Like I said, unless they're. I mean, I burned. What, like 15 gallons of gas to run up there and back.
Oh,
I mean, so it's like, if I'm burning like $70-$80 worth of gas, like it doesn't really make any sense to run up there if it's just like a 10-boat Thursday
for the 3-hour tournament.
So he dipped his bow on a couple. Yeah, I didn't spear any last night.
Oh God,
did a good job doing that.
That'll make your butthole pucker a little bit.
Yeah, I've ran worse. I mean, actually Tony's been in worse. Tony fished the same tournament. We fished he was a fill-in boater for somebody who couldn't make an SQT, and we all ran to the flats one year. And I speared like 3 waves in the champion, getting up there. Tony speared 3 or 4. I don't think anybody that ran up there didn't spear a wave. Like it was gnarly that year.
One of the worst trip.
That's probably the worst water that I've ever been in.
I think obviously there should probably be limitations.
Well, here's the thing. Like, there should have if anybody had known it was going to be that bad, they probably would have called the tournament.
Right.
But we launched out of Dundee, and like there was no wind blowing in Dundee, and they weren't calling for heavy winds. And when we got to Pools Island, it was just, I mean, like stupid, like 4 to 5 footers. I guess they just stacked up against the tide that year. I mean, this was 7 years ago. But it was, yeah, that was bad.
You won't catch me out there on those days. I'll be inside.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's not that. If it's blowing that hard, like I'll just pick where as long as I'm not fishing a tournament, like I'll just pick where I'm launching from. With all the places that we have we have a plethora of ramps. So if you just look at what direction the wind's blowing, like you can kind of just pick and choose where you want to go, and you can just stay out of the wind. It's not like you have to fish, like if you want to fish like the upper part of the Chesapeake and lower Susquehanna. It's not like you have to fish the flats. I mean, you can fish the Northeast, or you could fish up in the Susquehanna. You can fish the back channel. You can fish, out on the flats, Furnace Bay, and there are ramps that are going to be relatively close to all that. Like you can launch in Cecil County. If you want to drive across the bridge, anyway, you can launch in the Northeast. You get a couple of ramps over there. You can launch in Perryville, and run down to Furnace Bay. You can launch in Haverty Grace and fish the back channel. You can launch in the new ramp in Haverty Grace and fish the river. Launch a lap at them and fish the river. If it's a west wind, you can fish the Gunpowder. You can west wind, you can fish the Bush. So, no, I do not. I do not know them.
Nope.
But that's the nice thing about up here is we have so many ramps. Like even if the wind's blowing, wind could be blowing 40 miles an hour. I can still find a place I can go fishing.
Yeah, I mean, there's always little pocket to go tuck away in somewhere. And
like down here, we can go, we can go to the Gunpowders and you can go back in the canals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wind doesn't really affect the canal. It's not like it's ever going to be rough in the canals.
It's definitely blowing in the canals a lot of times. But it depends on the wind direction.
I mean, it can blow the water out of the canals, but
that wind rips right down the center of the canals a lot of times.
Yeah, but it's not like it's rough. It doesn't like the water doesn't get rough in there. It's still fishable.
The water doesn't get rough. Yeah,
you can still fish it.
I hate freaking fishing in high wind like that. It sucks. You ever try to throw a bottom contact bait when it's ripping 20 miles an hour?
Just up your weight.
It still sucks.
Yeah. Up your weight more. So you might have to, go to. So, for example, like if I'm fishing a drop shot, like, I might go if I really need to fish it, like if I'm a Conowingo and I'm fishing offshore and the wind's blowing, like that one tournament that me and Greg fished, like I'll just go to a 3/4 ounce drop shot. Wait, like it doesn't matter. The wind's not moving.
It's just gonna sit there where you need it.
Right. So you can just you can adjust your weight to get around that. If you're throwing a Texas rig, just instead of throwing 3/16, throw 5/8. If I'm trying to get it off the bottom, that's one of the reasons. Like if I'm throwing a Carolina rig, I only throw 3/4 ounce. Never have to worry about the wind. 3/4 or 1 ounce. Because you're not worried about the fall. You're keeping it on the bottom. So 3/4 ounce. Who cares about the wind? I can cast 3/4 ounce a Carolina rig with a 3/4 ounce weight. I can throw that bitch directly into the wind, almost as far as I can.
Right.
With the wind not blowing.
Right. It's like having just a big lead ball attached to the end of your freaking rod is all it is.
So I actually throw 3/4 ounce of lead on my Carolina rigs. I always throw lead on a Carolina rig.
I like tungsten. It's just the cost of it.
The tungsten, the problem I have with tungsten Carolina rigs is they're too small. They get hung up more. When you got a big chunk of lead that's about this big around, it doesn't get hung up.
Right.
Especially if you're fishing a rock.
Right. That makes sense.
Really just depends on what I'm fishing, Paul. but usually not more. Not more than 3 feet. Sometimes as small as like 1.5 feet, but somewhere in between 1.5 feet and 3 feet. And 3/4 ounce drop shot, yeah, on a spinning rod. Yeah, see, yeah, tungsten stays hung up.
Brass clackers.
Yeah, you can. Current's a little bit different than wind.
I just use a 1-inch lug nut.
So Tom said he was trying to perch fish, and when they were running 230,000, he said 2 ounces wasn't enough.
Jeez.
You can't. Current's a whole different story. Even like a lower current. So up on the St. Lawrence, you're looking at, it was a pretty low current. We were closer to the mouth of the lake, so it was 1 to 2 mile an hour at most, and like you 3/4 ounce. I mean, we were using 3/4 and 1 ounce drop shot weights because of, if you didn't, like the current would just blow your bait, so you couldn't fish it right. I'm rigging up for 6-inch spoons and cranking on Sharon Harris tomorrow. Heck yeah! Only 6-inch spoons? Come on. Throw a little. You gotta throw that 8-inch mag spoon, baby. Actually, I've never fished Sharon Harris, so I don't know what kind of forage you have down there. If it's gizzard jet, I'd throw 8-inch. But yeah, current is a whole different animal.
Current and tide, because it killed my game last night.
Oh, and a thread fin. Yeah, it makes sense. Go a little.
Bringing up 6-inch spoons, cranking
a
on Sharon.
little smaller.
Wait, where is that?
Carolinas.
Okay, right on. Yeah, that's definitely more threadfin.
So, but river current.
The Carolinas have a very interesting fish system, from what I've heard. You can have giants. Freshwater fishing and bass on one side of an eddy, and then saltwater fishing with drum and shit at it on the other side.
Oh yeah, I mean you Winyah Bay. I mean you catch redfish and bass in the same area.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty cool. Wouldn't mind fishing that sometime. But so you were talking about tide, tidal current versus river current. Like the way you have to fish it sometimes is so completely different. Like on the St. Lawrence, you can't really sit in one place and cast because you can't match the current.
Right.
Your trolling motor, you will not. You can slow yourself down, but the current's moving so fast that you're still going to be drifting. So you have to change the way that you fish because you can't just cast and wind when you're out in that current where those big smallmouth are. So you got to do a lot of drifting. You do a lot of drift fishing, and
you still use your trolling motor while you're drifting.
You can to slow yourself down.
Right.
Slow yourself down and make sure.
Make sure you stay straight or whatever.
360. So when I was fishing the St. Lawrence a couple years ago, 360 was huge because I could see the boulders coming up, 100 feet away.
You wouldn't just use spot lock and let it push you back?
Oh, no. I was just drifting with the current. I wouldn't even slow myself down. I was just drifting. I would big motor up, drift down a shoal. But 360 would allow you to see where the boulders were, so you could position the boat left or right coming down the current, so that you would drift over the boulders. And that was the key. You had to drift over the boulders. If you didn't drift over the boulders,
you're always facing up, but going back, looking at what you're.
Well, it depends.
Essentially, looking at what's behind you that you're going to be coming up to.
You can position the boat either way. So, you can position the boat going nose down the current, or you could position.
So it's not like that. It's not like the Susquehanna when they have a bunch of gates running or some shit.
Yeah, it's a lot like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just your fish. I've never been able to do that on the Susquehanna. I've never been able to catch them like you can up there, just drifting like that on the Susquehanna. But you just 3/4 ounce drop shot, drop it down. So, drop it straight down. The reason you're using 3/4 ounce is because it'll stay straight down. So if you get a lot of line out, either it won't touch the bottom, or if you're dragging it behind the boat, your weight's too light, so your bait's up the current, your boat's down the current, and your boat's pulling it, it'll hang up.
Yeah.
So you have to keep your line as straight down as possible. to prevent hangups, and you just drift and you watch your unit. You see where the boulders are coming up. You position your boat so you go over the boulder, and when it pops over that boulder, it'll just go bonk. Because they'll just sit behind the boulders in the current. They're using them as current brakes.
Yeah, exactly.
So as soon as it comes over the boulder, you just your rod will just go. Bonk.
Interesting.
5 pound smallmouth.
Interesting.
Or almost 6. I never got my 6 pounder.
You will one day.
I was close. 5.78.
It'll happen. It will happen. But I am looking forward to next week's Thursday nighter.
Hell yeah. I'm so glad that these have kicked off.
Yeah.
Like, despite fishing, like, so I think it was 5 years ago, me and Frank won the summer solstice tournament. I was thinking about this last night. The 4 years since then, I've been first out of the money 3 times. See, you know how angry that makes me?
First out of the money.
First out of the money 3
times.
3 out of 4 times.
Your face even went flat when I said it earlier. I was like, well, you were first place out of the money. You were just like...
Because I've done that 3 times.
It's the old kick in the teeth.
Last year I didn't. Last year I don't know what happened. I mean, I was on a decent bite, and I think like we got like this like big flood tide, and it just kind of like I was catching them on topwater in the canals, and like it just like disappeared. We got like one bite on topwater, and so last year kind of sucked. But
I only have one fish on a frog so far this year, and that is my only topwater bite.
yeah,
That's it. Everything I'm still throwing chatterbaits and spinnerbaits and all the bottom contact stuff.
so like
Just because it just seems like, I mean, I know you can obviously use frogs in topwater in other situations, but I'm so used to there just being grass around here and like frog and grass and whatnot. Now that it's not here, it's like, okay, I'm going to crank this lay down or whatever. Do something differently than when the grass was flooded in there, but the topwater is still...
topwater still plays.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, I should Kevin that one night. We were
Topwater produces bigger bites, in my opinion, too.
we were just fishing up the wood in the 6 mile an hour zone right before the ramp, across from the ramp. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like right at dark one night, and like him and Jesse were fishing up ahead of me, like so they're fishing everything first, and I was coming behind him with a buzzbait, like just plucking one off every tree. It was. It was just one of those nights, and there's a certain time of the year in the gunpowder where like that buzzbait bite on wood is just ridiculous. But it only lasts for it's like it only lasts for like a couple of weeks, and then they just stop. It's like once the water warms up, they just like stop touching it on wood.
Who said they saw like 92-degree water somewhere?
Oh, I bet it was close to that in the gunpowder. I mean, when I was out, what was I out Monday? I mean, it was like 87.
Good Lord. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Bubs, get down.
Yeah, it was like 87 on Monday.
Yeah,
in some of the areas.
They're gonna go try to find anything cool or more oxygenated.
Well, that's the thing. We get so much tidal current that like the water stays oxygenated, so I always seem to catch fish in the same areas, no matter if the water is like 75 degrees or 95 degrees. Mm-hmm. I guess it's just because you get so much, with the tidal current, you get a lot of.
It's like a hot tub.
Tom said the highest he saw was 87.
It's like a big, giant hot tub.
Pretty sure that's warmer than Frank's pool. But
What are you doing, dubbers?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It never seems to matter. Yeah, time for some crabbing.
Yeah.
It never seems to matter, like, how warm the water gets. Like, in the gunpowder, you always catch them out of the same areas.
When the grass was there.
Yeah, even now. I mean, last summer, like, we had a club tournament in July.
They're everywhere all the time. It's where's the size concentrated at?
I ran over from the bush. Our July tournament's always on the bush. I ran to the gunpowder, and I mean, I caught 17 pounds in the middle of summer in the same places we fish all the time. In shallow, hot ass water. We do in some areas, Paul, but not so much. Our water's so shallow. It's shallow tidal water, so we don't really get a thermocline. Conowingo does. We have, one of our nearby lakes. That's part of the Susquehanna.
I wonder
we
if
we
like
have a
the
thermocline up
pond
there,
or like
but
the quarry would have like flip over or something like that.
I've never seen it in there.
Yeah.
I think because there's so much current.
True.
Yeah,
in and out all the time. That would be the only place I can think of that it would happen, though.
Paul says I always run to the bush. The bush is where I excel. Me too.
The bush is so.
Me too. Yeah. Thursday nighters are starting back up. We get together on Thursday nights, hang out with the boys, and the wife. Time to get the wife back out on the water. Get her to do a little fishing.
I think my dog is begging me to go outside right now, and I'm just like kind of ignoring him.
Was it that, or does he want to play? Because he does have a toy in his mouth.
He definitely wants to go outside.
As long as he doesn't take like a massive dump in the floor.
Well, he doesn't take massive dumps. He's like 15 pounds.
Hey, you never know. Small dogs drop some pretty big dookies.
He does. He does smell very badly.
Tom wants to know when the Bass and Beer Radio Crab Feast is.
I don't
Tom,
know. I'll put a donations
How
box.
about when Tom and Nick go out and catch us a bushel of crabs?
I'll put a tip jar.
Or two.
I'll add a tip jar to the broadcast, and when the tip jar gets full, I'll throw a crab feast. How about that?
I mean, you provide the location. Tom and Nick provide the crabs.
I would not. I have thought multiple times about doing this. I have thought many times about getting crabs and inviting anybody that's local to the area over for some crabs and hanging out for some beers. But that is like a very, very expensive get together.
Paul, I am drinking a very potent Mountain Dew Zero because I may be on some painkillers.
I'm drinking the Labatt's Blue Lights that Tony left over because the beers that I left in my cooler got snakehead juice all over them, and I drank them anyways, and they're gone from earlier.
I said, grab me an Ultra. I will drink a beer. Thank you, sir. Tom said he's good for a bushel of crabs come late July, August. Sounds like a good time to have a crab feast.
Should set it up.
We will pitch in money for your gas and expenses if you catch us the crabs. How about that? I feel like that sounds like a good deal.
It depends on how many people say they're going to come too, because we're probably still going to have to get more.
Oh, dude, this is invite only.
This is invite only.
This is invite only.
Okay, all right. We do that. I can set up the John boat and go out and trout line on the John boat. I got my crab license.
Paul says I'm 5 white claw.
I was literally just saying, Tom, I can put trout line on my boat. We can go out.
Paul said he's 5 white claws in, and he's not sure if his knots are going to hold tomorrow.
2 gallons of fuel.
Hey, I said expenses. I said fuel and expenses. I know, like you got you got trout lines and crabs, crab pots and all that BS. That's.
Ooh, Rob says he's good for a basket then too.
Well, yeah, there you go.
All right, so I'm gonna make a little calendar thingy up to put up.
Rob's good for a basket. I mean, if we get 2 people, to go out on each boat, then you can get 2 bushels per boat, right?
I can
set
correct? My boat.
I'm not real familiar with the crabbing walls.
1 bushel per.
Is it 1 bushel per boat or 1 bushel per
boat,
person?
Per boat.
Well, that's stupid.
It's 1 bushel per boat.
I don't want to split them.
Definitely is. And then
I don't want to split
a bushel of crabs with somebody.
I don't just go with myself.
Oh, I got the John boat. His John boat, Rob's John boat, my John boat.
Like if I had a crabbing boat, why would I want to bring somebody with me then if I can't keep extra crabs? I mean, I guess
used to be, Dan. Yeah, it used to be. I don't know how many people are catching like good big crabs in the Gunpowder. I know like maybe there is, but I know in the Bush River it seems to be a little bit more popular.
I know some people. Legally, yes, two bushels for 2 licensed people on the boat.
Really?
But he says you rarely catch more than a bushel in recent years.
I've always thought it was per boat 1 bushel. I thought they changed the rule.
It's funny. Like There, 2 years ago, there was a guy crabbing on the back channel in Haverty Grace on the grass line. Yeah, the grass edge right on the channel, and catching them, like catching the heck out of them.
Just like dip netting crabs.
No, he had crab pots set out.
Okay,
like down the grass line.
that would be cool as shit. What if you just go through there at nighttime with lights and like dip net crabs off the bottom of like the grass line? That'd be cool.
Frank netted a 7-inch soft crab on the flats one day.
Nice.
He took it home and made himself a sandwich.
I was gonna say that's a good sandwich right there.
He was out fishing with Big Fish Ron, and he's like, look at that crab. He's like, I think that's a soft crab. Well, give me your net. Then it takes his net and nets out like a 7-inch soft crab.
Rob says he could use a hand dipping off the line. Beer drinkers only, please. You are at the right spot, sir.
Yeah, there's always eel pots back there. They run down the middle of the flats.
Is that them like? Is that the boats that go around that have that like crane arm that comes off the side and they pull those big pots out of the water or some shit? Have you seen that?
Those are usually crabs.
I don't know what it is, but like this guy, I see him because I work on APG, so like I'll be going down on base and I'll look over in the water and this guy will have a boat. He's definitely just a guy that's out there all the time. He's got the Suzuki, the beat up boat. Looks like there's been bloodbath the boat freaking 100 million times. He's got this like crane that comes over the side and they pull up these big pots, but they don't look like crab pots. Like I've seen commercial crab pots. Like I don't know why you wouldn't just pick one of those up.
I mean, eel pots are relatively small.
Maybe
they're not. They're not super big.
They might be.
They're like the size of a crab trap. You know, it's not like it's anything giant. Like you can. I mean, they pick them up by hand.
Yeah, we'll get out there together a time or two, John.
Rob said those are catfish guys. They use a winch to pull their pots.
Okay, I can see that because the freaking catfish are big and heavy.
So, speaking of...
That's probably what it is.
Speaking of commercial fishermen, so there are all these gill nets on the Potomac this year. Like when I was down there for a tournament in May, like there's these gill nets everywhere, and they're in like the same area that the bass are spawning. And we were kind of like wondering, like, man, I wonder if these, like, are they getting bass in there? And I did a little research on it. No, they don't. So they have to run there's a minimum size hole that they can run. So dude, if you saw the size of the fish that they're gill net carp. You saw the size of these freaking carp that are in these nets. Like, yeah, bass can swim right through these holes. Like they're not getting caught. We're fishing down there. We were actually pre-fishing for the Mr. Bass tournament, and we're watching. This guy's like 50, 60 yards away from us, pulling up one of his nets, and we can hear him calling out the weights of the carp, and they're like 42, 36, like they're all like 35 pounds and above, like just like carp like this freaking big.
I know in some of those commercial nets, I know a fellow that crabs around here, not Vince.
Yeah.
No, another fella, and he's told me of fishing out in the Bush River and stuff and just pulling many 8-10 pound largemouth out of his nets and just chucking them over the side of the boat again. And he's a big commercial crab guy, so he sees a lot of that, big catching stuff. So I know for a fact that there is times where, now this might be different, that like this might be him trying to like use nets to catch like yellow perch and shit like that.
So I did I watched a video of guys explaining it because they were and this was out on Gunnersville, and it was Gunnersville, Kentucky Lakes, so one of those like Alabama reservoirs, and they were talking about the gill nets and people saying that you're catching bass, and they were explaining how the gill nets work and the sizes that they use, and they went from these particular people went from a 3-inch hole to a 4-inch hole. And he said they almost never catch bass because the size of it takes like a 12-pound bass to be able to get caught in the net.
A 4-inch hole.
He said anything less than that can just work its way right through. It might it might take it. It's not just going to swim through it. It might have to wriggle its way through, but it can get through. So it takes a very large bass to actually get caught in those nets.
What about the ones they want to catch? Yellow perch, white perch.
So I don't think they're gill netting for those, but
I do think they're different. Like those big round ones that they swim in.
Like a seine net.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think they're seine netting for those. Even gill nets though, like they're not in the typically they're not in the water long enough, that the fish are going to die. They're able to, when they're pulling the nets up, they can release the fish.
I'd like to learn more about this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just I saw it on the Potomac this year, and I just went and found a couple YouTube videos, of guys talking about it, and it was pretty interesting.
I should reach out to my friend and see if he would come on and talk about it, or we'll hit up Luke McFadden, see if Luke wants to come on the show. Like, hey Luke.
Hey Luke, what do you know about gill netting?
Yeah.
Was it me or did everyone struggle last night? I did. I mean, me and Rob caught. I mean, we didn't catch fish on our first spot. We got to our second spot and we caught fish for the rest of the night until we had to leave.
I'm pretty sure Logan and Victor had their bag in about 30 minutes.
It was about 45.
Excuse me.
We saw them leave.
I'm sorry.
Commercial. That's a trout line for catfish. Oversized minnow traps, 6 feet long. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke probably does know a lot. Yeah, he seems pretty knowledgeable about what goes on the bay. I love watching a dude. I watch a dude. I follow him on TikTok. I watch his stuff all the time.
He'd be awesome to have on the show. Probably tough to get on the show though.
Yeah, he seems pretty popular.
Yes, very much so.
I saw him smuggle crabs. He smuggled crabs on an airplane. It's pretty funny.
He's like, they always talk about him on 98 Rock.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't hear that too much.
Or Justin was like, oh, our buddy Luke McFadden.
Oh, Mr. Dutters.
Yeah, his stuff's good, Dan. He puts out some good content.
No, you're absolutely right.
Paul, we have definitely found that out thanks to our buddy Rob, who is our public relations officer.
Yeah, Rob, our public relations officer. Shout out to him, man. I wish Rob could have been here tonight. He's doing some stuff with the family. But Rob has handled a lot of reaching out to people and talking to them. And Rob's landed us a lot of big names to come on the show and talk.
For sure.
And
Denny Brower, David Fritz, Matt Herron,
Matt Downs,
Logan Parks,
Keith Carson.
Yeah, man, so mad I missed that one.
Keith Carson's was a good show, and I would hope that Keith would come back on again. So hopefully you'd be able to make it. But Mike Buca,
we've become friends.
Buca, Bullshad Swim Baits. How could I almost forget that? That was one of my favorites.
And we've even been become friends with some of these guys.
Exactly.
Too,
there's a couple guys we could reach out to right now and be like, "How you doing? What's going on? What's new?" And just have a general conversation with them.
Tell us about the drama on the Elite Series.
Tell us what's going on the Elites.
We want to hear the drama.
So, but yeah, it's really cool. It's been an awesome journey. Loving every second of it. And it's definitely given me more confidence myself to just kind of talk to other people too. Like, I actually never capitalized on it, but I need to reach out to Oliver because I got his email and then never emailed
I will
him.
say that my favorite guest moment occurred off the air when we were talking about a particular angler that I do not like very much that is from our area. And the person that we were talking to just went, him, that guy's an asshole. that dude, that was so funny. That dude's an asshole. And he can't catch no fish. It was great.
It's great when that comes out of a professional's mouth.
Because I don't like that guy.
So that's been really awesome. We are definitely working on continuing to have more guests from MLF, the Elite Series, and more come on. Oh, our friend Andy Hauser. Andy Hauser's come on here. Can't forget about Andy Hauser with Team Marine. Andy Hauser with Team Marines come on the show.
Great dude.
Awesome dude. Absolutely love talking to Andy.
Yeah, we had a blast.
Very informative. He actually messages us, but he comments on our stuff all the time.
Always like quippy one-liners.
Normally about my Ranger.
Yes. I need to talk to Greg. See if I can get Greg on one night. Greg DePalma.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be
I've
cool.
known Greg. I mean, I've known Greg for
I was like,
quite a while.
Greg Hall was off. Greg Hall was here on Wednesday.
Yeah. You know, we get local. I mean, we get, we have local people on all the time, and that's cool. You know, with Greg on the other night, that was a fun little show.
Yeah.
You know, just talking about local fishing.
But what do you guys think about having other people come on to talk about like conservation or general fishing? You know, like we were just talking about nets and stuff. Like, what about having somebody come on to talk about that type of stuff? You know, I feel like that'd be interesting to have people on about too.
Oh, we left out fishing the DMV. That's
Fishing the DMV.
That was one of my favorite guests.
And we need to get back with him.
Me and him
because-
nerding. We were nerding
Yes,
out.
you guys were nerding out, and he messaged me the day after us because you saw it. I'm pretty sure. And so we need to get back with fishing the DMV and get that going on again because I feel like that would be a fantastic conversation for you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now,
I have
cool
nothing
dude.
to say. I'm just gonna sit here and look straight faced. I'm just gonna let you do your thing.
He's a cool dude. He's very smart. Knows has done a lot of research into
Yes.
the local conservation efforts, local fish populations, things like that. So we were able to have some very high level conversation about some things that I'm passionate about, and some things that he's passionate about that we may same thing, but we may hold different opinions on.
Right.
And we're just able to have a good back and forth conversation, like you are supposed to do when you have differing opinions.
I love
just
it.
throwing out
It was great. It was honestly that was during our buddy Sam Tudor's podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
We went on Sam's podcast. That is Outdoors in Maryland.
That's right.
And
I forgot that wasn't art.
he literally, you guys were in the middle of that conversation, and Sam ended the stream because you guys wouldn't stop.
He's like, yeah, I shut it off 45 minutes ago. Oh, yeah, that was a great conversation. We definitely have to get him back on.
Yes.
I really enjoy talking to him. That's probably one of my favorite guests that I've talked to, or that I've had not that I've really talked to, but I've had a conversation with.
We're gonna have Sergeant Nick on next week.
As long as Tom says, as long as it's not a snakehead conservation, we can get our follower, Mr. Jason Michalski.
Yes, he's definitely a snakehead conservativist.
He's definitely pro snakehead.
I'm not anti.
But also seems like a very he's more of a he's more toned down than some people. You can actually have a conversation with him from what I've seen.
Is there anybody that we can name as a guest that we didn't like? Not really.
So we
had some quality issues a couple times where it kind of stunk.
We did have one guest, and it was still a great show, but it was very product pushy. The entire show,
right?
And so it wasn't you didn't have that just that natural conversation that we've had with a lot of guests. And for the most part, our guests have been really good. Logan Parks was really good. That one was really cool.
There was still good informative information.
Oh yeah, a lot of good informative information, but just a little product. And I get it. It's totally understandable. No, actually, I found out KVD has to have KVD on your show. You have to submit a list of questions that are pre-approved. From that was what I heard from another podcast.
I wouldn't be surprised. Phil would know.
You have to have his
permission to ask this question.
His PR person has to review the questions.
Do you have permission to ask him this question? I don't know.
Yeah, the guest with terrible audio is a struggle. Yeah, it's usually us with the terrible audio.
Yeah, when it works, it sounds really nice though. But it is sometimes a struggle when guys come on and they just have a cell phone, and they either have bad signal or the audio is not super great.
Off.
But no matter what, we're always appreciative that they take the time to come on our show. And in hopes that they'll come on again, and maybe they'll be in front of a computer next time. So, you never know.
Yeah. And I mean, even as long as you have a good connection, it even doesn't matter if you have a cell phone. I mean, we have Matt. Hey, Matt joins in with cell phone all the time.
Yes, he does.
We have usually have pretty good audio and video from just from his cell phone.
I would like to have Mike and Austin Neary come on the show. Again, we had Mike come on once, and he was one that we had.
Mike was really. I enjoyed talking to Mike.
I really liked talking to Mike, and
Dan
we had some audio and some signal issues with Mike though. But we'd like to have Mike come out.
Dan wants Swindle. So do we.
Yeah, so do we. So do we. But you know what? I'm not saying that's not out of the realm of the possibility though. Jared Swindle seems like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, we need
Just
Swindle.
very popular.
We need Swindle and Matt Robertson. Not at the same time. That would be too much.
I gotta say, Paul, Streamlabs on the cell phone is incredibly.
It seems like StreamYard's pretty popular. Like, a lot of people seem to use
popular.
that.
Now that I have Stream Labs working good, I like it so far. We're only missing that one widget that I would like to have.
Right. Yeah, we got to figger that out.
If we could get that, it would just be so much better.
I want Seth Fider too. Like that one's.
Yeah,
we're trying to work.
I want Matt Robertson, Seth Fider, Gerald Swindle, Hank Cherry.
One of the first Elite Series pros that I ever watched fish in person was Seth Fider.
The llama.
Like his rookie year. It was like his rookie year on the Elite Series. It was the year that Aaron Martins won on the Bay. So I think it was like 2015 or something like that. Something like that. 2015.
I'm not
16?
sure.
2015 or 16, and that was we sat and watched him for quite a while.
John Cox would be cool to get on.
Skipping a bait to one tree over and over and over again while he chain smoked.
While he was chain smoking. Who's the other guy that smokes a lot of? He used to smoke cigarettes on the TV.
Brian
all the
Thrift.
time. Yeah.
The funniest line I've ever seen on live bass fishing. Cumberland Lake, fishing down a bank, turns around to the camera and goes, "All right, camera's off. It's Marlboro time."
That's hilarious.
One of the funniest things I've ever heard. Poche would be cool. Sure, I guess.
I'd like that Poche. I don't care about any of it. I don't care what anybody's views or anything are. I would like to talk to everybody and get everybody's views on everything.
There's people that I've talked to like in person that like
maybe
I just get a bad
so
vibe.
good.
I just get a bad vibe from them.
Right.
Like to where they might be good on the show, but I just don't like them. Poche is not one of those. I talked to him a couple times on the gunpowder. I didn't have a bad. I never had a bad conversation with him. He was funny. We were joking around. I was trying to get him to come fish the Thursday nighter, and
that would be wild.
He just laughed and he was like, "You all local boys just want to take my money."
There's a couple local guys I'd like to have on the show too.
You know what's funny about that? I probably would have taken his money that night. I smashed him that Thursday.
Yeah,
that was the one that I wasn't supposed to fish. I was not supposed to fish that one, and I smashed them.
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
but
it was good times.
Yeah, there's a couple local guys that I would like to have on, and we've already beaten this dead horse, so I won't even go there. But I would love to talk to Michael. I just think that
Tom says Poche dropped off playing 20 yards in front of him. F that guy.
I would like to talk to Mikey, and who was the other guy I was just thinking of locally here that I just brain farted on? Oh, never mind. Frank. I want Frank to come on the show.
You know what, Frank? You need to get Frank and Rob on the show together.
That'd be fun.
Because they are both lure junkies. And Frank knows more about old, like discontinued and antique baits than any person I've ever seen. And he has a massive collection of antique lures.
We could get into that. We could probably set something up.
He's got some really cool old baits. Like old baits. Mikey Balls. I'd love to have Mikey Balls on. He's funny as hell.
Mikey Balls. Oh, man. Well,
We need to get like Panger on her. Like, see if we can get like Panger on or something from Bass Talk Live.
Adrian.
Adrian would be cool. Adrian's a really, really nice guy.
Probably get Adrian on.
I've talked to Adrian a few times, just fishing, local tournaments on the Upper Bay that he's dropped into.
Let's get smallmouth crush on.
I'll be sick that day. Holler at you for Mikey Balls. Hell yeah. We might have to reach out to you.
Holler at Paul for itchy balls.
Holler at Paul for itchy balls.
Just kidding.
Yeah, there's a couple other local people that I wouldn't, that I'd like to have on the show. I always had this idea of getting some of the older anglers, like some of the guys that have fished, the Upper Bay for 30 plus years that are getting older, just to get on to tell their story. Mm-hmm. Just so that it's, that history of bass fishing on the Upper Bay is preserved. So it's, just get them on, let them talk, let them talk about, let them just tell stories, nothing, totally informal. Just let them get on and tell their story so that stuff doesn't get like just lost in time,
Mm-hmm.
like J.R. Robertson or, Dan Thompson and some of those
What's
old
up, Jason?
Heads, some of those old heads that have not just, back in the day were fishing, like national level tournaments, fishing like the Red Man Series and, traveling like to, like Grand Kentucky Lake.
That's hilarious. That would be a really interesting person to interview.
I would like to know that. That is a story I've never heard
story. Of. He's the guy who borrowed the ESPN boat and left it floating down the Niagara River.
Was that the Open?
It was 6.
So was that the Open on Erie out of Buffalo?
That is so
see
funny.
See if he responds. I think that had to be the Open out of Buffalo in 06. If it was the Open in 06. Really? I don't remember them having an Elite Series there. Because it would have had to been out of Buffalo. It would have had to been an Erie tournament if they were in the Niagara River. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I know Frank Scalish won the Open that they had up there in the mid-2000s. I think maybe they did have an Elite Series up there. Interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of local guys that I'd really like to get on. Just just because I think it would be cool to talk to them and hold the feet pics, please. you can send details. Hold the feet pics.
This guy's funny. I like him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just some like like some local guys that like guide on the Upper Bay and stuff like that, just to kind of just get like to be able to talk about like the health of the bay and the guys that are out there every day. Those are the guys who really understand like what's going on as far as like the health of the bay goes. So it would be nice. It would be nice to talk to some of those guys.
See how things have changed over the years.
Yeah. Get different different opinions on things. Like
there's only one way to get that perspective.
Like I know I know one person who has fished the Upper Bay for 30 plus years, who will swear up and down that the bass travel up and down the bay, and they will move into rivers as necessary to follow bait or to get into different areas.
Hey, what's up, Adam?
So
Adam, how that bullet coming?
And that's a very different a very different opinion. It's a very differing opinion from what a lot of people say. Yeah, so just like being able to hear stuff like that. I mean, it's like I know he says like he thinks they can smell grass, like not necessarily smell, but like they can somehow they know where that grass is.
They definitely if they can
From like
be caught
miles
if they
and
can be
miles and
caught
miles
somewhere,
away.
taken somewhere else, and then have natural GPS and just make it back that way, then yeah, I would imagine they have some way to sense. I mean, think about when they have to travel for like salinity purposes or something like that. Like you have to know like what sense of direction you have to go to find.
I mean, that's a
Water
little
that's
more
more fresh.
That's a little more simple though. Like
In a way, yeah.
if you can sense the salt and you go this way and it's more salty, you probably want to turn around and go the other way.
But it's just senses.
You know.
Well, you have north, south, east, west.
Right, but like if you go like this until you know what I mean, that can be done pretty simply. But like
I don't
knowing
think
that
I
there's
don't think they're doing a 16-point turn to try to figure that out.
right,
though.
but they may
I think they have a natural GPS that like tells them. Which
as
is
far as the
crazy.
salt, I think they're sensing like the salt in the water. So that, if they swim this way for a little bit, and like that water's getting saltier, they're gonna turn and go a different direction, whether it be back back this way or off this way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then if they get more salt this way, then they go a different direction. But like that's a little different than because that's like real time feedback, right? They're in that salty water and they're trying to get out of it. How do they show up in a grass bed that's 15 miles away? Like, you get like a random grass bed and it just freaking loads up with fish. And I've seen that happen quite a few times in a few places. Like, and it's not like in that general area, you don't catch fish don't get caught. Mm-hmm. Like you don't catch bait. You catch maybe you catch one or two, or there may be some fish in the area, but for the most part, it's not really like a fishable area until like a random grass bed shows up there, and then it just gets stacked full of fish. It's so weird. We're in Maryland, Paul. Chad, for the next show, I'm bringing a 6-pack of Capri Sun.
He's ready.
I do love me some Capri Sun.
Capri Sun's good. Ask little Bradley. He loves them.
Does he? I love me some Capri Sun.
There's Capri Sun in a juice box.
I bought some a couple weeks ago. Not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were grocery shopping. We were at Aldi's, and we come through like the soda aisle, and I'm like, oh shit, Capri Sun. And my wife thought I was a child, which I probably am. Alaska, yeah, it's fantastic bass fishing in Alaska. It's not considered an invasive species at all, which it is, by the way, in Alaska. Andrew Blair, actually, I think I just saw, did Andrew Blair move?
Yeah, he went down to Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was just like on vacation or something, and then I saw him post today. He was like, I can say something like, I can get used to it. I guess I'm gonna get used to this or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
some inshore stuff. Hey, he's spreading out the tactical fishing brand.
right.
So he's got a bunch of people up here. He's just moving south.
Speaking of fishing brands, UMA Lure Company.
UMA Lure Company.
Check them out. UMA Lure Company. What's our discount code?
Bass and Beer 2024. Bass and Beer Radio 2024. Pretty sure.
Bass and Beer 20. Yeah. So use our discount code on their website, umalureco.com. Fantastic balsa crankbaits.
I think it's BNBR 2024.
BNBR 2024.
BNBR 2024.
If he's in the Carolinas, going to tell me I'm going to slap him. Fantastic crankbaits, balsa, handmade balsa crankbaits.
Hey, what's up, Jim?
Some of the best crankbaits that you can get. We have Bass Munitions.
Boss Munitions.
So,
hang on, it's not working. Come on.
Oh, don't do that.
Can I get this to respond?
I mean, it's not froze. It's just not letting you unhide that.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
That is weird.
It's not letting me scroll or do anything.
Oh, so it is kind of froze.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I can scroll this. Just none of this.
that's weird.
And this is froze.
So Bass Munitions. Make some high quality soft plastic baits. You got your drop shot worms. Make some nice little paddle tail swim baits. A few other special. They got a few special designs.
They make some different crawls.
like the goat pecker.
The goat pecker is definitely a favorite. We were throwing the goat pecker maybe on Thursday to catch our fish.
Should have had some UMAs for door prizes last night. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, UMAs would be great. I can definitely talk to Tyler. Oh, there we go.
Hey, we're back.
Froze again.
We're back.
There we go.
We are back.
Oh God.
We're not back.
Something terrible is happening right now.
We are experiencing software difficulties.
But we're still live. I just can't see what we're doing. And tailored lures.
Yeah, and tailored lures.
Tailored lures frogs. Really like tailored lures frogs. Really, I always
You're not fine on my end.
I always talk about their hooks. Yeah, I can't see
You are fine on my
anything.
end. Did it like collapse the window or something? Like, yeah, see that little side arrow right there? Oh, that's that. I meant that one. No, that collapses that. That collapses that.
What is going on?
Oh, Andrew Blair has arrived.
Hey, what's up, Andrew?
Andrew, are you still in Maryland? That was the question. We thought we saw some. Saw you post.
As our software is glitching and we can't turn the Bass Munitions thing off in front of Paul's chest.
South Carolina. There you go. See?
I knew he went somewhere.
See, Paul? We told you he was in the Carolina.
You're about to make Paul really upset.
He said he was going to slap you if you were in the Carolinas and didn't tell him.
I guess he better start driving.
Yeah, like Tom said, the defects they gave out at the Mr. Bass at the Mr. Bass flea market weren't great.
I actually have one of those defects up on my shelf. I should put some hooks on it. See, that just shows that he wants his stuff to be perfect.
So yeah. Anyway, what you got going on this weekend? You gonna try to get out, or is it too hot for you?
I don't know. Maybe in the evening or something like that.
A little evening or maybe a little early morning.
Little evening or early morning session, but other than that, probably not. And I would definitely like to get out to the flats. I don't need to fish a GP.
Flats are always fun.
Let's go out to the flats. I'm going to learn something different this year a little more, but with the Thursday nighters, during the week, it's just easier to come down here because it's close, and then on the weekend, you got to go other places.
That's what I try to do.
Of course, it's just stupidly boiling hot, and
because you didn't fish together. We can't. If we invited your dad, we would have had to invite Steve, and then we couldn't have you. Because
yeah, Jim knows a little bit about hot.
I'll trade you hot. It is supposed to. We're looking at 95 this weekend, Jim. So that's pretty warm. Tom said we need a morning topwater bite and a sand eye on a raft up. I don't think it would take much convincing for Chad to do that.
I'm definitely down with the sand eye on raft up. We haven't raft up yet this year. It's been hot.
Yeah, average. That's average there. That sucks. That's why I don't live in Florida anymore. I lived there for 6 months and it was too hot and I left. Nope, that just makes that bigger.
Where did everything go?
Right click. No. Whoa, what just happened? 5 a.m. It's
5
already in
a.m.
the mid 80s.
Jeez. That's terrible. Wait a second.
Hey! We just clicked on the wrong button, apparently. We are back. Okay, we are good to go now. Just Facebook message us. We're pretty good. I mean, we're pretty good at replying.
That was stupid.
It's hot here. Ran into gators today. Not used to that.
Did they swim up to the kayak? Are you now rethinking your kayak travels? Want to go to a John boat or something because the gators are going to be the size of your kayak?
Dude, like that
There's no way, dude.
That one we hit with a trolling motor in Texas on the first day of the tournament. That was pretty crazy.
Did it just like blow out from underneath the boat?
Yeah, like
shook the boat.
I'm pretty sure he ran into it with the trolling motor. Like I think it was just out like floating in like 15 feet of water. Like we were out fishing off this point, and my boater,
15 feet of water just floating there.
My boater for the first day, like all of a sudden, like right at the trolling motor, you just see this. I think he like ran into it or got the trolling motor closed, and he's like, man, I don't know what that was. I wonder if that was one of those big gar. And he shines his live scope like around, and he's like, well, there it is. It looks like it's about. He said it looks like it's about 12 feet long. It's got to be one of those big gar. And like I jumped up on the front deck and looked at it and went, no, that's an alligator, not an alligator gar. And you can see his little feet hanging down underneath of it on live scope. It's pretty.
That's crazy. Dude, you're gonna need a little bit more than a 9mm, I think, for some gators.
He just want to scare him. You don't want to kill him, right? It only takes a 22 to kill him. Didn't you ever watch Swamp People?
Yeah, but you gotta hit a little like a button-sized thing on the back of their head, like
while they're thrashing around.
Yeah, not while they're coming straight at you either.
Gators trying to crawl in the boat or snatch fish out of your hand while you're putting bass back in the water. When I fish in gator areas, I don't place fish back in the water.
I hear you guys refer to them as water puppies.
Swamp puppies. I've heard swamp puppies.
Swamp puppies?
Yeah, in Texas, once I saw the first gator, bass just got tossed back in.
Just a little kayak pop, a little hawk tour. Why don't you just take your paddle and just blast them in the face with it? Jim, 357 in the face. So
Jason says you only have to worry about the alligators in the spring. Yeah, I guess when they're protecting the nest and the babies. Jason would know. He likes to play with alligators and stuff. Got to watch snakes here too. They'll come in the boat. Yeah, that's the nice thing about it up here.
We definitely don't have a shitload of venomous snakes up here.
I mean, we have. There's only 2 venomous snakes in Maryland.
3.
2.
Rattlesnake, copperhead, and water moccasin.
There's never been a confirmed water moccasin in Maryland ever.
Really?
Yeah. We have northern water snakes.
Yes.
We have lots of water snakes. There's never been a confirmed water moccasin in Maryland, despite what lots and lots of people say.
I have definitely heard of water moccasin before.
Yeah. Most of that is just people confusing them with water snakes. People think they see a water snake and they think it's a water moccasin.
Those water snakes are mean as shit too.
And that's probably why, is because they're super aggressive, right? Mm-hmm. But there's never been a confirmed water moccasin in Maryland.
I played with an alligator once, and now I have a 10-year-old.
Martin, they're in Western Maryland, from Frederick County out west. Occasionally, I've heard you'll see a couple. There's been a couple in like Western Carroll County, but mostly from like Frederick out.
Cottonmouth around here?
No, that's a water moccasin.
Yeah. Okay.
Cottonmouth water moccasin, same thing. They're not as aggressive as people say. Water moccasins are just curious. You know what? I don't want to find. I really don't care. Don't care to find out.
I definitely wouldn't want to find out.
I can't believe Martin didn't know there were rattlesnakes in Maryland. I've seen a lot of rattlesnakes in Maryland.
You've seen them?
Yeah.
Well, out like trout fishing in your travels.
Fishing.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot more in Pennsylvania, but some of the places.
I don't think about Pennsylvania as like rattlesnakes. I'm like Pennsylvania gets like cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean I've seen a lot of rattlesnakes fishing in Pennsylvania. Like they're just like they'll be like curled up on a rock next to the creek or something like that, and you're walking down the creek and you just like tap them with your fly rod, and they slither off. Ain't no big deal.
I have always feared that.
They're very non-aggressive.
I have always feared that, man. Like, you get like something stuck in a tree and you got to go get it, and you end up getting into like a hornet's nest or something in the tree.
That'd be
Oh my
terrible.
God, that would be I feel like that'd be worse than anything almost.
I saw a guy a video
The
other
only
day.
thing worse than that would be if you did that and then you had to jump into alligator-infested waters to get away from the wasps.
I saw a video the other day.
Jim, you should probably watch out really closely for that.
The guy, he was fishing like, like some like standing timber, and like he backed out his boat. He was like backing his boat, like he went in to like get his bait, and he was backing his boat back up, and he ran into a
and they just came out and just started.
And they just started zapping. Like he just like jumps in the water. Like that sucks.
Just think about doing that, but you're just like in gator territory.
Paul said he'd fight an alligator before he'd fight red wasps. At least the alligator, you can you can see it coming from one direction. You get wasp, I mean, they start coming at you from all directions. Yeah, they mess your day up.
Yeah. Tom, a water snake had
was
a
that Todd
frog.
Castledine? I just saw the video on like TikTok or something. I didn't realize it was Todd Castledine. Jason used to go swimming with gators all the time because he's insane.
You know what? Why do I just
Jason,
just
I forgot
totally something that Jason would do.
Jason, I meant to call you this week because I ran into somebody who is a mutual friend of ours on Saturday, which was pretty hilarious. Because that was the first thing he said was Jason. I was out on a lake and thought there was a drone flying around. I was looking around and there was a bee colony flying through. That sucks. Yep, Dwayne. I've known Dwayne for a long time. Not as long as you, but pretty much since I started tournament fishing. Yeah, bees. I'm with you, Paul. I don't like messing with bees. I have not been, knock on wood, I have not been stung by a bee in a very, very long time. And I hope to keep it that way. He was at your wedding. No way. That's awesome. I like Dwayne a lot. Dwayne's a good dude. Yeah, bees. Yeah, screw bees. I don't mind snakes, gators, like any of that stuff. Spider. I'm even okay with spiders. No big deal with spiders. There's two things that I don't like, and that are bees and freaking centipedes. I hate those things. Florida ramps have "Do not molest the gator" signs. I want to know who the guy was that made the need for that sign. Yeah, when I say bees, I really mean wasps. I don't mind actual bees. Hornets and wasps. Regular bees, I'm fine with. Oh yeah, me too, Jim. I don't like people at all. Yeah, Jason, bees suck. But again, bees are fine. Hornets and wasps, no good.
All right.
Headwaters Jim said, "I hate people more than wildlife."
Fully agree.
That is a 110% true statement.
Fully agree. Can I drink one of these ultras?
Yeah, can you grab me one? Oh, I mean, I have a half of one, but I'm gonna chug it. So.
Actually, I'll grab one of these Labatt's.
Yeah, but palmetto bugs don't do anything. Like they're just big and intimidating. It's not like they It's not like they sting you or anything like that. Like they don't. So they don't bother me. Wasps and hornets and centipedes, they can all freaking die, for all I care. I hate
Wasps,
centipedes.
hornets, centipedes. Yeah.
I hate centipedes.
Yeah.
Well, spider, like I'm okay with spiders. Like I got no problem with spiders.
I'm not a big spider person.
Like I don't want them crawling on me, but like.
What was big fish last night?
522.
522. So they were all 5-pounder. One was a 4.
It was probably like two. I mean, it was a 522 and like 2 4 3/4.
Okay.
The other two were pretty big. That's a great movie, Tom.
That's a terrible movie.
It's a great movie.
That is not a good movie.
It's very bad.
It is a very bad movie.
It's very bad.
South
Scorpions,
Park episode of the Human Centipede was way better.
Yeah, I've never encountered a scorpion, but they can probably get fucked too. I don't.
No.
Well, what? What'd you delete?
It's just stupid.
I need to know.
Excuse us 1 second.
Yeah, that's dumb shit.
So
Anyway, worst movie I've ever watched the whole way through is the first Mad Max. Okay, it wasn't that bad. But Jim,
I haven't seen
it was
Mad Max.
it was 522 for big fish and 14.5 pounds for three fish limit. So pretty stout. I know that's like one fish down there for you, but see, people suck. Yeah, people do suck. I'm a firm believer that people suck, but not the people at the Thursday Nighters. Most of them are pretty cool.
no, none of the people at the Thursday Nighters suck.
Except
Everybody is cool.
I was gonna say, you like, no, they're not cool.
No.
Like what?
he's like, it's not where we're supposed to be going here. Yeah, that's why I'm definitely still more on the page of animals over people, though. No matter what.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll let a person starve on the side of the street and help an animal.
oh yeah, I'll give a dog my leftovers before I give a person my leftovers.
Yes.
Does that make me an asshole?
No. I'm with you, though. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of just like, they can't help themselves. You probably hurt yourself. And I just feel worse. They don't have thumbs, man. They need help, okay?
Speaking of that, the homeless fisherman was on Dave Mercer's podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so kind of like told like his story. Like I've watched his stuff.
I'd be interested to hear that.
And he kind of like just told his story about like how he got into like the social media stuff, and like he was actually homeless at one point, like when he was like 18, and like kind of just explained like, you know, how like fishing like kept him, you know, that was like his the one thing that he could do because he was like, he had no money. Like, you know, fishing was essentially free aside from maybe stealing some hooks from Academy.
Right.
But, you know, he said it was one thing he could do because it didn't cost any money.
Feed the family.
I watched some of Hood fishing stuff.
He does some pretty cool stuff.
He was using I saw him using a live mouse for bait today for largemouth.
Jeez, that's terrible.
I felt so bad. I'm like, this is gonna be an awesome bite, but I feel awful.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I see him do it and he's got like this mouse like you know, it's on like a.
I couldn't do that.
It's basically like a wacky rigged mouse with a band, and like I see it, I'm like, oh, that's so bad. And then he throws it out there, and it's like swimming across the surface. I'm like, but this is gonna be so cool.
I might have watched one.
No, I didn't
episode
want to
of
try
Hood
it,
fishing.
but I definitely wanted to watch a giant largemouth blow up on it. It really conflicted with my animal ethics and wanting to see a topwater bite.
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes I feel bad, like hooking through a shiner and like throwing it back, and I'm like, that probably hurts really bad.
See, that doesn't bother me.
I'm putting it through. I'm like, that doesn't feel good.
Because like I look at a fish and like a fish doesn't look like it's ever like thinking. Like it doesn't look like it's having like you look at a mouse.
But bass are so intelligent.
No, they're fucking dumb.
Come on,
We give them way too much credit.
maybe.
But you look at like a mouse. Have you ever looked at a mouse in the face? Like it looks like it's having conscious thoughts about you. Maybe it's just like a mammal to mammal thing. Like you're looking at another mammal, and it's
Yeah.
like that's
It's like you can't just like look at a reptile and be
you've
like,
humanized. You've humanized it because it's it's another
you
mammal
don't think
or something
snakes
like that.
have
But
feelings?
no, not really. But I don't mess with snakes. Like I said, hornets, centipedes. It's the only thing I have a problem with. Probably scorpions too if we had scorpions. Because I don't know, they kind of creep me out too. Walking around with that little stinger on their ass.
Yeah, I definitely probably wouldn't get along with scorpions or in a scorpion infested area, especially since they're just like spiders that can pinch you and sting you at the same time.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fuck that. And then there's spiders in the same area as the scorpions, so that's gonna be a double no for me.
Yeah, and then you get those like big stupid poisonous centipedes in the same area too. Like, no thanks. I don't like to use live bait, but have no issue throwing a swim bait at a boat's head because they're too
On a
close.
boater's head because they're too close.
Fair enough. I have done it. I picked up a 3/4 ounce rattle trap and sent it right into the back of somebody's cowling one day.
What are wheel bugs?
Are you talking like pill bugs?
The roly polies?
Like roly polies? Like the little will turn up into a little ball. We have some black widows around here. Actually, had one outside. The only one I've ever actually seen in person was when I worked for H.H. Gregg. There was one that had a web out like on the outside of my store. It was like in a little corner, and it was like a legit black widow. I didn't realize how big they were. They were rather large.
Yeah, they can get pretty big.
Yeah, they're like, legs and all. I mean, it was like this big.
They look violent.
Oh, he said, so wheel bugs, the bite is like a 22 shot. Interesting.
What's
I'll
a
look that
wheel?
up.
But what is it? Okay, hold on.
Jason said he sees them in garages all the time. Yeah, can you look that up? I want to know what a wheel bug is. I've never heard of a wheel bug. I'm pretty nerdy.
Oh,
we call those assassin bugs. All right, so I do know what those are. I've never actually been bit by one. But those are also on the list of bugs that can get fucked.
go away.
So I have a tournament this weekend.
Got to rig up.
I do. Not particularly right now. It's on Sunday, so I got
Where's your tournament out of?
Haverty Grease.
Oh, no way.
Oh, those fluffy caterpillars, they will get you.
Ooh, what are about the tomato? The tomato freaking.
Oh, the tobacco hornworms.
Yeah, the hornworms.
Yeah.
I heard they will freaking nail you too.
I've never. I mean, I've been around them. I've never actually I've been around them my entire life. Like my parent, or my grandparents, growing up on a farm, we used to have.
But are the fluffy caterpillars the one that are normally in like gardens that'll get you?
Oh yeah.
They have a stinger?
They will jack you up.
They have a stinger on them?
Yeah, it's on the outside. It's not really like a stinger. Yeah, the hornworms, they're no big deal. They don't mess with it. They don't mess with you at all. They just mess with your plants, which is why they die.
Go away. My garden is.
Actually, like if you don't, we have a type of wasp around here that will actually kill them for you. So have you ever seen like one of the hornworms and they have like little white growths on their back? It's pretty common. You ever seen that?
A wasp with a growth?
No, the hornworm, like the green hornworm. You ever see like little white like growths about yay big on them that like stick up? They're wasp eggs, and when the larva hatches, they hatch inside the the larva gets inside of it and eats them from the inside out. And then hatches and they go kill more hornworms.
So, I mean, not to like completely get off topic, but to go back to fishing, what are those things that we find in the snakehead? Like nematode? What are those things? The worms that you cut out of snakehead fillets?
Nematodes.
Nematodes?
Yeah.
And what exactly is a nematode?
So like a type of flatworm. So I mean, it's just like, it's a parasitic worm.
Just cut them out and
Yeah, you just cut them out, make sure you cook it thoroughly, and you're good. A lot of fish, it's not just snakeheads. I guess we probably see it in the snakeheads more because that's really like the only thing we eat. Crappie get them a lot. You'll see it a lot in crappie. Smallmouth, smallmouth in the
Tom,
Susquehanna,
that's disgusting.
Get them really bad. But yeah, for the most part, you just cut them out, or just make sure that you cook you cook your meat thoroughly. It's also why it's very important to not eat raw freshwater fish.
I had a large gap in the amount of time that I would eat snakehead because I was eating it, and then I got one that had that in it, and I was like, nope. And then I talked to somebody about it, and they were like, that's fine, just cut it out, and then I started eating it again.
And then saltwater fish, you shouldn't eat that. You shouldn't eat that fresh raw.
What's that?
Saltwater fish, like if you're eating like sashimi or something like that, it should be frozen. It should be flash froze first. It'll kill any parasites in it.
Gotcha.
It's not great to eat them.
You ever had some raw tuna?
I very much enjoy raw tuna.
It's so good.
I
It's so
actually
good.
prefer salmon though.
Raw salmon?
Salmon sashimi, yeah.
I like salmon, but I can only have so much of it because it is it's like a very oily
rich.
fish.
Yeah,
very rich.
Very rich.
Very rich.
Salmon sashimi is probably my favorite. The fresh tuna straight on the boat. Tom Over has told me enough stories about them catching tuna that I will never eat it straight off the boat. It will be frozen first, so it kills anything in it. So I will take my raw tuna at the sushi restaurant. Raw beaver is fantastic. Especially when you get all the hair off of it.
Good
Just
God.
saying. Tom said, I've seen worms come crawling out of tuna and dolphin. No way. See, Tom's told me that story many times, and I'm like, yep, I'll eat my tuna at the sushi restaurant where I know it's been frozen. Yep, and tacos. Yep, beaver and tacos are both fantastic eating.
To have together at the same time.
I mean, kind of the same thing. Beaver tacos.
Or it could just be a beaver and a taco together.
It's true. It's true.
See where I'm going there? See where I'm going with that? Beers.
Beers. Oh, Tom likes him a spicy beaver. Oh, a spicy beaver, huh? If it's a spicy beaver, you might want to get that checked out.
Y'all talking about worms and fish. We'll probably eat shrooms out of Cal Dookie every weekend.
I mean, I haven't gobbled any shrooms in a long time.
Nope. No, sir.
Not since the mid 2000s.
What weight do you think is going to win next Thursday?
12. I'll say 12.3.
It does seem to slowly kind of go down.
No, usually it goes up because
As it
usually
gets hotter throughout the summer.
it's not that it gets hotter. It's that like we're immediately post spawn right now. So like if you stay in the gunpowder, your weights are like if you just look at the fish in the gunpowder, they're pretty post spawn and skinny, and then as the summer goes, they fatten up. Like I caught a couple. I caught a couple in the gunpowder the other night that in 2 months they'll be 3.5 pounders and they weighed like just over 2.5 because they were just skinny spawn post spawn fish.
That's true.
Yes, I am old. Thanks. Can you see gray? See the gray? That's how we know I'm old.
I know. I feel like we've talked about people running to the flats and beat it to freaking death, but I feel like not as many people in the past for Solstice ran to the flats like they did this year. There was a good amount of boats that did the old run.
5.
That's decent amount.
I feel like it's about. I mean, I guess it depends on who you get in the tournament. Mm-hmm. Like I would say that the solstice every year you have at least 3 boats that run up there. And you might have more. I mean, I never really paid attention to it that much because it was never something I was going to do in my old boat because it just
kind of
takes
brings
too
it
long
more to
there.
our attention because you ran up there as well.
Yeah, now that I can, make it there in a reasonable amount of time, I guess I paid a little more attention to it. But, I'm sure that you had at least, 3 or 4 boats that were running up there in years past.
I know people have done it.
I mean, think about how many people, like, you got 36 boats in the tournament, and how many boats did you see while you're fishing? Like, if you stay in, the canals, you don't see that many boats.
No, but they all kind of go back towards, the quarry and shit.
They're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it be, Dundee, Seneca, whatever it might be. Yeah. So, I'm sure you have quite a few. I mean, I know people that just in the regular Thursday nighters, ran into the flats. Which I'm not going to do if there's only a few, if we only have the normal, 15 boats for a Thursday nighter, I'm not running to the flats. I'm just not, to me, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, well. The people that went there, they know. Jim, you have to know where you're going.
Jim, it's no secret.
It's no secret, but when you're fishing a 3-hour tournament and 30 to 40 minutes of it is spent in travel time one way, you have to know where you're going to sit down and where your fish are, and you have to know they're going to bite within a 45-minute to a 1-hour time period, and then you have to leave.
So last night I had an hour and 45 minutes to fish. So I essentially got to fish 2 spots. One spot didn't work out. Second spot did. Caught our fish, left.
You said, would you burn through 15 gallons of fuel?
Yeah, about 15. It wasn't terrible. I think I want to say, I haven't filled it back up yet, Tom. They're
a lot of fun though, Jim. They're a lot of fun.
Just judging by my gas gauge, I think it was about 15 gallons.
Thursday after work, all the boys get together, go out and fish. Have a good time, come back in the parking lot, slam a couple beers, and talk about bass fishing.
Hell yeah.
And then Friday nights, we come on Bass and Beer Radio, and we chat it up, do a review, and...
talk about all the fish we lost.
Talk about the fish we lost, the what could have beens, the what should have beens.
We get to hear Tony getting pissed off about getting second again.
Again. I don't even know what position we got last night.
I know I was 4th.
Yeah. I don't know. It was probably mid-pack. 7 pounds. So we weren't
So there were a lot of 8s.
Yeah.
But, you're probably right. We're probably mid-pack. Because I know, there was I had 8.75. Brian had 8.74. Frank had 8.71. I know there was another 8.43. I mean, there were a lot in that, mid to low 8 range. Those are just the ones I can remember off the top of my head. It's all egos and assholes. You still get that here in some of the other tournaments. These Thursday nighters are more. They're more fun. I don't take them. I don't take them seriously at all. I fish them with my wife. We go out. Me and her just go out and have fun for 3 hours, and then she gets mad at me because I yell at her for missing fish, and and then it's a wonderful time when I get home.
Well, the one she missed a 6-pounder.
It was a solid 5. It was big. It was a solid 5 that she yanked a buzzbait right out of its mouth. But it's just having fun, and we're all competitive, especially me and Tony. Me and Tony are super competitive anyway. So yeah, we get mad when we don't catch them, but in the end, we still hang out in the parking lot.
I'm normally the one that gets upset when I don't catch them. Tony was upset that what we got last night, but I know what our plan.
Me and Tony get upset when we don't catch them. Chad gets murderous rage when he doesn't catch them.
Yes. I want to go home and go to sleep. But yeah, I could tell, and I was content last night. I was like, yeah, we brought in 3, man. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, as long as I bring in a limit, like I'm
Yeah,
generally,
I just want to bring in a
happy.
limit.
You know what? And I'm actually, I get, I'm happier when Candace, catches one that we weigh in. Like that,
Yeah.
like like that makes me like I'm good. Like if she catches one that we can weigh in, like that makes my night.
Yep. That's what it's all about too. Man, it's like $60 to get in everything to go out there and fish for a Thursday evening. You split it between you and a partner, man. $30 to go out there on a Thursday night.
Must be nice.
You can't go to the bar for that.
Must be nice to get to split the costs.
Oh well, Jeez, but I paid for everything last night.
No, Jim. No. It's a when you get into the weekend.
Yeah.
When you get into the weekend tournaments, in your larger tournaments, you get the same stuff around here.
There's so much we don't say on here.
Yeah, the Thursday night, like our Thursday night tournaments are fun. The Wednesday nighters, out of Northeast, they're pretty fun. Pretty fun tournaments. The Tuesday nighters on Conway Go, fun tournaments. Get to the weekend, and then the egos come out.
It's definitely there's definitely people with egos around here. Definitely cliques around here. But it just, I feel like that's everywhere.
Tom, you're not supposed to announce that. If you announce that, nobody's going to get in the big snakehead pot. Because we know we can't beat you
Did
in
they
big
get big
snakehead.
snake last night?
They did.
Okay.
Shocker.
Yeah.
What do you say?
It was
I was talking to
good.
Kyle. I was talking to Kyle Barney.
I was gonna say it was good to see Kyle Barney last night. I haven't seen Kyle in a while.
I was talking to him and Wayne, and Tom had walked over, and he said something. I'm just like, I mean, he could catch a 30-inch snake out of a mud puddle. And Kyle's like, yep, stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's different some places. So for example, you get a little bit like on the shore, but like the Delaware guys are pretty laid back for the most part.
Yeah, Jason.
We
like
get a
high
lot
school.
there's a lot of it's not so much that here's the thing. It's not like the egos. It's not the after tournament actions and the before tournament actions that are a problem, because most of the guys are pretty cool to talk to. Like after the tournament, it's how they handle themselves within a tournament. And like nobody gives, or I won't say nobody, but there's a lot of people who just will not, they do not give any respect to where other anglers are fishing. They'll come in on. I had somebody come in last weekend. I'm fishing up a grass line, and he pulled in 50 yards in front of me and started fishing, like as I'm working up a grass line. Like, I mean, it may not have been 50 yards. We were within talking distance if the wind hadn't been blowing like 30 mile an hour. But like to me, that's not right. I would never do that to someone. And like that's, just if it had been, if it was 150 yards, 200 yards, 100 yards up the same grass, like that's fine. But I mean, pulling 50 yards and fishing the same direction as me, like that, I just thought that was kind of messed up. I know the guy, and I have zero problems with him. Outside, like, I just think that like that specific situation was no good. I'm not saying that he's a total asshole or anything like that. I'm just using that as an example of things that happen on the water up here frequently. It's insane. If you're fishing like in a crowd, and I'm not even saying like a tight crowd, like you're fishing here and you got a couple other guys that are 75 yards this way, we're on a big grass flat. People fish close together on grass flat. If you catch a fish, you will have 20 boats around you. Like it's insane. I a couple of years ago I was fishing a tournament, and there were the area that we were fishing on the grass plat, there were 3 people. and I can name the 3 people. I know the other 2. It was me and my best friend and 2 other people that I've known for, quite a while. And we were fine. We were in the same general vicinity, but we weren't interfering with each other. We weren't close. We catch, one boat catches a couple of fish. We catch 2 fish. By the time I'm done calling out the fish, we were balance beaming them. We weren't using a scale at the time. By the time I finished calling out the fish, there's 25 boats around us that were fishing 200 to 300 yards away. They were 200 to 300 yards away from us, fishing in a different area of the grass flat. There was a big group of boats. There were 3 boats out here. In the 10 minutes or so that it took me to go through all of our fish to call them out, because we had 4 of them that were the same size, there were 20 to 30 boats around us. It's insane how these people function. I don't understand it whatsoever. If they see you catch a fish, they will go there. If you're out practicing and you're fishing an area of grass, if people are running by and see you fishing in the early spring out on the flat, that means in their head, oh, there's grass out there. They'll literally make a 90-degree turn and come out and sit down right next to you. 2 boats on the water. The upper bay, there's 10,000 acres that there could possibly be grass in, and they have to come down and sit down right next to you and start fishing.
Yep.
Because they don't know, I've actually heard people at the boat ramp gym that said, I don't need the practice. I'll just go out and look for where the boats are. They will not come out and practice. Jim. They will not come out and practice for a tournament. They will just go out and look for where the boats are.
Yep, the bent pole theory.
If you guys knew how much I'm hated down here only because I catch bigs and fish almost every day, and haters get so pissed about that. I have almost as many haters as likers. It amazes me how petty people are. Yeah, big deal. Victor and Logan kick my ass just about every tournament. I don't hate on them.
They put in a lot of time.
They spend a lot of time out there. I'm not gonna hate on anybody. Mike Santor, same thing. Kicks my ass all the time. Mike's a super nice guy. I love Mike to death. I can say that about 4 or 5 other people. That fish the upper bay regularly, that regularly beat me in tournaments. I don't.
We also, man, we just have some.
I don't understand why people think like that, or
beyond
the jealousy. Is it jealousy or? Yeah, I just don't get it. I'm happy when somebody I get mad when I don't perform as well as I think I should. But if somebody catches a big bag, dude, I'm happy for him. Tom and Brian caught. They had almost 24 pounds last weekend. Dude, I'm ecstatic for them. I like those guys. I'm happy that they caught a big bag. I'm not trying to and then you got the people who try to weasel information out of you and stuff like that.
No matter what, man.
Who cares? I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna figure it out my way, or I'm not. I'm just not gonna.
No matter what, you're gonna have those petty people, and even in the tournament situation, out in life, this podcast, we have petty people through this podcast. There's never once. What we do here is harmless, man. We do this for fun. And none of us have ever claimed to be pros or the Jesus of fishing or anything like that. But, man, there's people around here that make shitty comments about us just because we're not professionals and we get on the internet and talk to people about fishing. But it's what we enjoy doing. So there's pettiness everywhere. And it's just, it doesn't matter where you go, man. People see other people having fun and they just decide to hate on it, or they're just insecure with themselves. I have no idea what it is, but
right. I don't understand why people do that to anyone. Don't hate on someone because they're successful at something. Like Jim was saying, just because Jim goes out there and whacks giants, that's no reason to hate on him. Who cares if he goes out there and whacks giants? He puts in the time.
Who cares if you go out there and catch nothing?
Right.
Who gives a shit? Let
Guess what?
people go out and fish and have fun.
You're on the water. Like, that's the important part. Like, the important part is just being out there. Like, getting away from being in front of I sit in front of a screen all day at work. When I get off work, I want to go fishing. Like, I just want, that's my, just get
outside,
out there.
get the fresh air.
Get some fresh air, escape, get away from things. I just want, and that's what makes me happy. Now I'm super, super competitive. Like,
yes.
and
Yes,
that comes from, sports. I've always been that way. I've always been that way. But again, like I'm not mad at someone because they beat me. Because bass, like the cool thing about bass fishing, you're really not competing against the other people. You're competing against the fish. And it's a matter of you figuring out what the fish are doing, where the fish are located.
It's not the fish's fault that you...
So there's zero... well, it's not the other
It's nobody else's fault you couldn't find them. It's only your fault for not doing enough, traveling far enough, whatever. Some people just don't have the ability to do that.
It's not Michael Duarte's fault that I didn't catch them. So why would I ever be mad at him?
Yeah.
Like,
mental
that's
is
what
right,
I don't
Tom. It is all mental, and that is one of the hard... The mentalness of fishing is one of the hardest parts of fishing, man. Just being able to stay positive and just move forward and just be able to balance what you're doing.
Yeah, that what Jim said just kind of struck a nerve, because it happens around here too, and like I just don't understand why people hate on other people because they did better they did better in a tournament. It's you against the fish. Like, if you don't like them beating you all the time, go spend as much more time on the water as they do.
Yep.
I know how much time Victor spends on the water. Like, I understand why he's a good fisherman. He spends a lot of time on the water, and he puts the time in, and he's rewarded for that. Mm-hmm. If you can't expect to, like, I don't have I used to have a lot more time to put on the water. With the amount of time that I have to put in, I can't expect to be as good as Victor. Like, I'm not going to compare myself to him because he puts in more time and he's a better fisherman than me. And it's no big deal. It doesn't bother me at all. And I don't understand why that bothers people so much. Tom Over
is a straight up freaking hammer everywhere he goes. Jim, before we get too far, I appreciate your comment. You listen to us. You're 10 states away. You don't know anything about our tidal water fishing up here, but you like the company. We appreciate having you every week, man. Like, we love your comments.
If we put Tom Over in a bass boat and started entering him, we could like front him in tournaments, and we could retire.
We could make it to the Elite Series.
We could retire.
Yeah.
Like, we're just gonna front Tom.
You want to put him in your Skeeter?
Yeah.
You can have my Ranger, but we'll put him in your Skeeter.
You can have full use of my Skeeter if you split the tournament winnings with me. And any repairs that may be needed on the boat. If you break it, you got to pay for it. But it's time on the water. Look how much time that Tom spent on the water.
How many other guys are out there throwing big giant glide baits too, Jim? How popular is that in your area? Out of curiosity.
I never gloat or talk trash. I've never said I'm better than anyone else. I'm just an average guy on the water. I just play the odds more because I'm there more. Right. And that's what it is. And that's the key. It's time on the water. So,
It'd be a waste of money, John.
I was a much better fisherman when I worked 410s. And I had an extra day during the week. I didn't have to worry, my wife worked on that day. So I that day was, I had a full day every week that I was on the water from dawn to dark. And I was a much better fisherman then. And, I don't have as much time.
Nope. Got a small farm in my backyard.
Tom said he spent a week on the flats and Vic and Logan pulled up where he found some, so he counts that as a win. I mean, it's just like it's just time on the water. That's the biggest thing. Or I'm not saying it's just time in the water. I'm not trying to take anything away from those guys, but the more time that you spend on the water, the more that you learn about it, and the better fisherman you become.
Yep.
Time in the water is just a part of it. You have to be able to.
Especially when you're putting that much time out. I'm not saying the flats is not small by any means, but when you put that much time on one body of water, you will figure it out eventually.
Or you won't. But if you never figure it out, if you don't figure it out, you'll never figure it out. It's just gonna you have to accept that.
Yeah.
Because it's not just time on the water. We've talked about this before. It's not just time on the water. It's productive time on the water. You can't just go out there and fish and be like, oh, well, I just didn't catch them today, without thinking about, okay, why didn't I catch them? What didn't what didn't I do? What were the conditions? You have to put all those pieces together to be a good fisherman, and that's one thing. I give Vic mad props. He's a absolute hammer. And it's just he's put in his time. He's put in his time to learn. To learn the fishery and learn how to catch them. And that, mad respect.
Mad respect. That's why the rest of the run of the flats is worth it for those guys. They know they can set down. They know within 30 minutes they can have their limit. And that is what it is. And I'll tell you what gave it away to me. I had a feeling that they had a fat bag last night. So it was either...
When you saw them back in the gunpowder at 7:30?
Well, it was either that they had a fat bag or they had nothing. And so they pulled up. We were fishing the bridge, and they pulled up. And Victor was just standing up there screwing around with live scope, and Logan was just sitting there for the next 30 to 40 minutes. And I was like, they either have a fat bag or they have nothing. And they had a fat bag.
Yeah. And you have to, and that making that run, I mean, it's a big risk reward thing. You're losing an hour of fishing time.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, I was talking to Frank about it. And I think either I mentioned it to you or I was talking to Kevin yesterday. Running to the flats is no different than going to the pond. It takes the same amount of time. In my opinion.
Yeah, I guess if you're following the 6 miles an hour,
right in a tournament.
Right.
If you're going back to the pond, I mean, it takes 35 minutes to get from the ramp to the pond.
Yeah,
it takes 35 minutes to get to the flats. Same thing. You don't think about it because the pond's so much closer.
it's right there.
But when you can cover 10 times the amount of water in the same period of time.
I don't like going to the pond for the Thursday nighters.
I think I've fished the pond in a couple of Thursday nighters, but
I have, and I've done okay in there.
I don't like wasting that much time.
The pond really slows down a lot in the summertime.
Yeah, it does. It's hard. It's hard to fish in the summertime. I mean, I've caught a lot of fish in there in the summertime.
There's so much bait back there all the time. I feel like it just gets competitive.
You have to be able to do what it takes. Open to whatever baits techniques. Yeah, you have to have an open mind. You have to be able to learn from every situation that you're in. If you don't learn from the situations that you're in, and again, put those puzzle pieces together, it's you have to have a proper mindset to get better, because you have to look at what your conditions were, how the fishing was. So if you go out there and you suck, okay, what now I have to break it down. Why did fishing suck this day? What was different about yesterday that was, I didn't catch them yesterday, but 3 days ago I caught them in this area. What was the difference? Why did I catch them here 3 days ago and today I caught nothing? I smashed them 3 days ago. I caught them. Maybe the fish were moving. It could be a lot of things. Fish might be moving. Maybe the water level dropped. Maybe the water level came up. Yeah, there's so many variables. And with us, we have to deal with tides. Okay, well, 3 days ago, low tide was, hour, 2 hours earlier, or whatever. So maybe it was a timing thing with the tides. They're
trying to pattern and keep track of what worked where at what tide, what water temperature, what side of what. There's so many different variables, man. If you can keep track of all that and pattern fish, you deserve what you
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You got to be able to. You have to be able to put together. You have to make, and a lot of
And I don't know that many people that sit down there with a notebook and just write down everything. Some people do,
I used to
but
keep an Excel sheet.
yeah.
I've stopped doing that, but it's probably something I should start doing again.
It definitely
But-
doesn't hurt.
You know, the other thing that is incredibly important about being a good fisherman anywhere is the ability to make decisions. You know, and make the right decisions, to know these are my conditions, this is what I need to do. You know, you may start on your A spot, and the condition, like, you have to be able to recognize quickly that the conditions aren't correct for that spot and be able to make your adjustments. And if you don't make those adjustments and you just try to force something, like say you were catching them in, you know, there was 3 days ago, there was no wind and you were catching them throwing a Senko, and you go to that spot on Thursday and you're throwing the Senko and the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour and you're not catching them, and you're just like, I guess they're just not biting tonight. Well, you know, that's not a good decision. Like, to keep throwing the Senko when when the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour. A good fisherman is going to make that adjustment immediately, and like within 2 or 3 casts they know, okay, putting the Senko down, picking up a spinner bait, let's go. You know, stuff like that.
You gotta be willing to do something different. And while we have some people on here watching the show, man, we already went over a couple of our sponsors earlier, but I want to give a big shout out to our friends with Mobile Auto Solutions and the Bow Pros. They take care of Bassonby Radio, and they will come to you and take care of you, your car, your boat, any of your vehicles. Great service. Definitely check them out. Highly recommend them. And it is probably going to be the hottest week of the year.
Man, it's hot.
Right
It might
now.
get hotter.
It is going to be freaking hot.
It's only June.
And,
It might get hotter.
You guys got tournaments and shit coming up. You need to be hydrated when you're on the boat. Our good friends with East Coast IV will get you fixed up. East Coast IV, you can go to them or they will come to you, get you IV bags, fluids, banana bags.
I just reading comments.
And they will get you fixed up, have you feeling right. They're great for, good hangover, got to get ready for a wedding, or if you're just trying to get ready for a sports event on a hot day. East Coast IV, give them a look. They're right in Bell Camp.
So, Little John asked, what's worse, losing a 10-pounder to boat or falling out of the boat? One, that's an easy question. But two, John replied, I'll jump out of the boat for a 10. Yeah, losing a 10 at the boat is way worse than falling in. Unless it's like 30 degrees outside. Then, maybe falling out of the boat might be worse. But I've seen some pretty sketchy boat falling out. My buddy Mike Powers fell out. He slipped on it when he had his aluminum boat. His strap for his trolling motor got caught under the trolling motor, and like he stepped on the gunnel to get the strap out. It was 23 degrees when we launched. That morning. It was our last club tournament of the year. When he stepped on the gunnel, there was ice on the gunnel. Slipped and went in. It was 23 degree air temperature. It may have warmed up to like high 20s by that point. Water temperature was in the high 40s. And
That's a bad day.
He got back in, like he was in the Northeast, ran back to Haverty Grace, loaded his boat, got in his truck, cranked the heat up, drove home, stayed at home, warmed up, changed his clothes, got back in, launched his boat, and came back out fishing.
What?
Yeah, finished the tournament. Fished from I think we weighed in at 3. Like he got back on the water at 12. Fished the last 3 hours of the tournament.
Really?
Yep,
That's pretty nuts.
that's hardcore, man.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite time. Late fall and winter fishing is my favorite. I don't even like the spring that much. I would rather fish fall, like late fall, like November, or like late October, November, And then December, January, February are that's my favorite time of the year to fish. I would much rather go out when the water temperature is in the 30s than when the water temperature is in the like 90s, right? 85, 90, like dead summer. Mm-hmm. I'd rather, right, because it's more enjoyable because there's nobody else out there. So you don't have to worry about pleasure boaters or anybody cutting in on you because nobody else is stupid enough to go fishing.
Headwaters is closed, Little John.
And then you can, you can catch some good fish in the wintertime. I've caught a lot of big fish in the wintertime on the Upper Bay. It's good times. If you can handle the weather. I'm very particular about, like, when I go out. Like, you have to really watch the weather because it can be...
No.
It can be
that
miserable.
Is not going to happen in here.
It can be miserable. You know, if you pick a day, like, you decide you want to go out in January, and even if it's, like, mid-40s, but the wind's blowing, like, 15 to 20, it sucks. It's freaking cold. But then, like, if you watch the weather and you go out when it's like a slick calm, wind's not blowing, it can be in the 30s, and you're, as long as the sun's out, you're comfortable. Like, I've had some of my best days when the air temperature, is in the 30s. One of my best days on the Northeast, water temperature was 37 degrees. Smashed them on a jerkbait. It was so much fun. I had I went out fishing a silver buddy, doing the typical wintertime thing, fishing docks in the Northeast with silver buddy, and about 11 o'clock, I got tired of it because I hadn't caught a fish all day, and I pulled up the one wintering spot that I know over there, and the water was clean, and I'm like, I'm gonna throw a jerkbait. First cast, 4-pounder. And I just proceeded to hammer them for the next hour. I think I caught 19 fish in an hour. Hour and a half. Like an hour and a half period. And had just under 20 pounds.
That's a good bag.
In 37-degree water.
That's a good bag. I've heard of...
Not the biggest bag I've ever caught on the Upper Bay.
I've heard of some fantastic days when it's really cold in the water.
Because it was all... I don't think I caught a fish under 3 pounds.
I hate cold water fishing. Everybody's always throwing freaking silver buddies and shit. I hate that. I can't stand it.
I don't like it. I don't like throwing a silver buddy. Unless they're really on it, I don't like throwing it. I'd rather, but I love throwing a jerkbait. When the water's super cold, God, I love throwing a jerkbait in like high 30s, low 40s. It's so much fun. That's your best day was a 5.15. See, I would rather I don't know, sometimes just catching one big one doesn't do it for me. Because if I only caught one big one, I didn't figure out the pattern, and figuring out the predominant pattern is what I enjoy the most. Mm-hmm. Putting together that puzzle and having a good day. So, I would rather go out and catch, 18 pounds than catch like 1 5-pounder. Because if I catch, 18 to 20 pounds, I'm pretty confident that I figured them out. If I'm by myself anyway. Because
shit, 5.15 was better than me this year. Upper Bay. You're saying that's the biggest bass you have this year?
I've caught a lot of 5s this year. I've caught a couple. I'm trying to think. I definitely had one that was like 5.5 early this spring. And I've caught a couple of just over 5, but I didn't catch it. Oh, I caught a 5 on the Potomac for the first time in forever this year. I haven't caught a 5-pounder on the Potomac in 6 years. Caught one at our TBF tournament this spring.
It's getting a little late.
Yeah, it is.
It's getting a little late. We're gonna cut the stream, everybody. We appreciate you guys joining in. Look out for updates on the Facebook page this week. As I'm gonna try to stay a little bit active and keep the posts up. And Thursday nighters, see you guys at the Thursday nighters, and then we'll be back here for some Friday night shenanigans. Oh, we got the software working pretty good for some Tackle Talk Tuesday. So me and Riverboat Rob are hoping to launch some Tackle Talk Tuesdays again. Maybe get Paul up in here. Just a big call-in session to talk for a while. So look for that in the middle of this week. I definitely plan on doing that, actually. So
Sweet. I'm down.
see you guys there.